Hall. No county official can say whether the building will make its federal deadline or not. That's really exciting. The virus committee is going to present a report. I'm not making this stuff up. I mean, this is for real. That's the front page. Gets a little bit worse as you get inside. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, yes, the opinion page. Extra efforts make school a special place. That's exciting. School board is going to look at a healthy student program. This is Yuppieville, mind you. Oh, I love some of the ads, too. The ads are just great. If you suffer from knee pain, call the Tampa Center for Knee Surgery. Oh, this is just great. Absolutely fantastic. By the way, no guest tonight. Speaking of guests, remember all those things I told you last night about Soupy sales on Thursday and all that? Forget it. It's all been changed. Soupy couldn't make it on Thursday. He wanted to make it on Wednesday. So we have rescheduled Soupy for Wednesday. There's no particular reason. I just want to talk to Soupy Sales. He's always been a hero of mine, so we have moved Soupy until tomorrow night instead of Thursday night. The man that we had for Wednesday night couldn't make it Thursday night, so he'll be here on Friday night. Outside of that, what more could I possibly tell you? Got all that straight? Great. I mean, I am in a feisty mood tonight. You know where all of this started? Sheryl Browne. That's where it all started. I've been trying to get you people to talk about Sheryl Browne now for maybe 3 or 4 months, and you just won't do it. I've dangled it out there maybe a half a dozen times, and you just let it go right on by. Well, I remember vividly the first show I did in this market. I did a little poll for 1 hour. And I had a question in the poll. I said, who is the worst local TV personality? And I think I took something like 22 calls, and only one person named someone. All of the other 21 people, without fail, said, oh, well, they all try. Who am I to criticize? Well, tonight we are going to talk about Sheryl Browne, whether you like it or not. We may do the entire program about Sheryl Browne, Channel 10 co-anchor. That's one of the things that is wrong with this community. You people are just too damned nice. You people just won't complain about anything. That's why you got a town filled with Bob Evans restaurants. I've never seen such mediocrity as I've encountered in the greater Tampa Bay area. And the yuppie newspaper. This is the yuppie newspaper. No wonder this place is a disaster. We are going to spend the next 3 hours complaining. We are going to spend the next 3 hours telling it like it is. I mean, any other town would not put up with what we put up with in this area. Hell, just speaking in terms of Sheryl Browne, I can't think of another top 20 market where this woman would hold a job. She'd be gone. There'd be a public outcry. I'm thoroughly tempted to do the entire program on Sheryl Browne. And if I get 3 calls or 300 calls, it doesn't make any difference to me. You people are going to start speaking up. You're going to stop pretending that it's a beautiful Tampa Bay area. It isn't. It is ugly as hell. It is boring. It all looks the same. It ain't paradise by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, the weather's not too terribly bad, thank you. It's a lot better than Cleveland. But that's about the only thing we've got going for us. Mediocrity, no matter where you look. A town this size with one truly great restaurant, that's beyond belief. Beyond belief, and besides, all they serve is steak. Anybody can serve a good steak if they'll pay the price. That ain't no magic trick. Great restaurant in town. They have a bicycle chain hooked to the wine list and bolted to the wall. I guess maybe they know what kind of market they're in. So I want to hear it tonight. I want to hear nothing but bitching and moaning. I want you to tell it like it is. It will be more or less of an open program. You can complain about anything locally. Although I am awfully tempted to make you start out every call with something about Sheryl Browne. I mean, we've got to put an end to this nonsense. Oh, it's embarrassing. People come into town, they think, oh, God, Tampa Bay, America's next great city. They turn on the television, and there's Sheryl Browne mooning over Wilson. How our two voices just blend together. Oh, it's so sweet. Sometimes I sit there and say to John, you know, that story wouldn't have gotten on the air if we only had a half an hour. Oh, I just think he's so great. I just think I'm so great. No, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. Media character assassination night. Anybody in the media you can take cheap shots at. By the way, did you hear about Mason Dixon? He's probably going to Atlanta, but that's neither here nor there. Let me give you the telephone numbers. I'm deadly serious. Hillsborough, 224-0057, 224-0057. Pinellas, 393-0057, 393-0057. About the best thing that I can think of that has happened to the Tampa Bay area of late is I found out yesterday, and it really made my day, too, that Philly South is opening up a second location, and it's a little bit closer to my house. But what a marvelous thing to say about the Tampa Bay area, that a store that sells Philadelphia-style food is doing so well that they're opening up a second store. There is no Tampa Bay-style food. There is no Tampa Bay anything. It's a bunch of runaways from Poughkeepsie and Youngstown and God only knows where else. With some of the worst media I've ever seen in my life. Some of the most boring restaurants I've ever seen in my life. We run a feature on this station every weekend. Big things to do this weekend. You know what the two lead items were last week? A rib roast, someplace up north, I can't remember where it was, some small town, and a corn cookout in a town that was north of Orlando. These are the big things to do in Tampa Bay. Hey, great weekend for you. Boy, I tell you, there's a rib roast somewhere, and then they'll be cooking some corn out in the middle of a field north of Orlando. So I want to hear it tonight, boys and girls. I want to hear it tonight. This place is going to continue to be what it is unless and until you start complaining. Unless and until, don't call me up with politics, baby. Nobody cares about that. We're talking about real life. Real life. Things to do. The people that you got to watch and listen to. You've got the phone numbers, don't you? I do believe you do. St. Petersburg, hi, you're on the air at WPLP.
You do. I listened to you last night for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. And so I decided I'd listen again tonight, and I like the idea of what you're suggesting.
Great. How do you feel about Sheryl Browne? Let's start there.
Well, I think she sucks.
Okay. That's my kind of call.
Okay. Now, let me say this.
Of course, you couldn't put that on a bumper sticker in the state of Florida. Do you realize that?
I'll get some made if you'll put one on your car.
We'd be arrested.
Okay. Now, let me tell you this.
Actually, I defy some judge to put me in jail for a bumper sticker that says Sheryl Browne sucks.
Let me say this. You say that this is not paradise. It is. It's paradise lost. Now, let me suggest something.
I'm not sure it was ever found.
I kind of like it, really. But let me suggest something to you. It seems to me that you have the guts to delve into things, and very, very deeply, regardless of the outcome, because you've got the guts. Why don't you dig into... Do you live in Pinellas County?
For the moment.
Okay. Could I suggest that you dig into this school system? You know, everybody's concerned, or I shouldn't say everybody, but everybody should be concerned about the quality of education.
Well, let me stop you right there.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons.
Okay.
First of all, that's the newspaper's job. It is not talk radio's job. Secondly...
Well, the newspaper won't do anything about it.
But secondly, we serve the entire Tampa Bay area, not just Pinellas County. And as soon as you start talking about the school system in Pinellas County, bam, there goes Bradenton, Manatee, Sarasota, Tampa, Pasco, Hernando. Bam, they're all gone.
But let me ask you this.
It's not the purpose of talk radio.
Okay, wait a minute. Is there anything wrong about that in the sense that if one area starts to be examined, then they all become examined? Is there anything wrong with that? Because there's no school system around here as far as I know, and I'm a former teacher, that's worth a damn.
Well, frankly, it sounds to, I'm not trying to be rude, but it sounds to me like a great project for Jack Ellery. He loves things like that. That's why he's rewarded with such low numbers.
Excuse me. I called him one day when he went off the air, and I suggested this to him. He is either so damn busy he forgot about it, or he doesn't care.
Or maybe he's starting to wise up.
Why? What do you mean, starting to wise up?
This is entertainment. This medium, this format is entertainment.
Well,
guys that do crusades like Ellery are rewarded with very low numbers.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, he gets into Reagan bashing and things like that, which are pretty heavy. And so what's wrong with getting into the school system bashing?
It just doesn't fly. It just doesn't fly.
Why? Because people don't care?
You got it. Well, it's a matter of people don't care, and on top of that, people don't turn on the radio to hear ponderous arguments about the school system.
Most people are watching TV tonight.
That's right.
But, I've been converted to talk radio.
Because you found it entertaining?
No, I found it very damn interesting. Not necessarily entertaining, but it makes me aware of what's going on, more of what's going on in this area. And I think more people should be concerned with what the hell's going on here.
I would quite agree, but again, that's just not why people turn. Yeah, let's try that again. Tune in the radio.
Well, how do we get people to look into the school system? Let me just mention something to you. There are more supervisors.
Well, that's all great and fine and well, but people who have kids in school for the most part don't care, and most of us don't even have children in school. Well, I know we should care, but again, that just isn't talk radio's job.
But it's our tax money. Whether you have kids in school or not, you're paying taxes. And why should you pay for 5 supervisors sitting around, neither one of which knows what the hell the other one's doing, yet they're all in the area?
Already, I can see calls dropping off. And I'm serious. I am deadly serious.
Because we're talking about something.
You got it. You got it.
Oh. Well, why don't we just do what Paul Gonzalez does and talk about sex every night then?
Because we're talking about Sheryl Browne tonight. Tampa, you're on the air at WPLP. Where do you stand on Sheryl Browne?
Well, I wouldn't like to talk about Sheryl Browne. I'm going to talk about the Yep.
Whoops, then you're gone. If you don't want to talk about Sheryl Browne, you don't get a chance to talk. You've got to start the conversation with a remark about Sheryl Browne.
The phone numbers that put you on the air at WPLP are in Hillsborough County, 224-0057, in Pinellas County, 393-0057, and anywhere else toll-free, 1-800-334-0057.
The next time you or your kids hug your dog or cat, do you want to hug fleas and ticks too?
Are you kidding?
Then put up a blockade.
You can't block fleas and ticks.
You can now with new Hearts Blockade. Hearts Blockade repels fleas and ticks before they have a chance to settle on your pet.
You mean Hearts Blockade really blocks fleas and ticks?
It sets up an invisible shield that they won't penetrate.
So now we can hug our pets without having to hug fleas and ticks, too.
Yes, thanks to Hearts Blockade, you can hug your pet without fleas and ticks getting in the way.
Terrific.
Isn't it great when kids love something that's also good for them? Like a bowl of delicious Campbell's vegetable soup, full of good vegetables and high in vitamin A. Just one serving of Campbell's vegetable soup gives them 60% of their daily requirement of vitamin A and is low in fat and cholesterol. So why not stir up some Campbell's soup at lunch or dinner today and watch them enjoy something that's good for them? It's a delicious way to take care of them. Campbell's soup is good food.
First in news, WPLP. Take control. Take control of your career, the money you make, your working environment. How? With the National Business Employment Weekly. Every week it brings you the best career opportunities available all across the country. Great jobs, professional, managerial, technical, paying from $25,000 a year to $250,000. Write a resume that gets results. Handle interviews confidently. Negotiate a salary you can be proud of. Be successful in dealing with a difficult boss, getting raises, marketing yourself. The National Business Employment Weekly shows you how to take control of your career, and it's published by the Wall Street Journal. Ask for it at your newsstand, or if you prefer, you can have the next 8 issues sent to you by first-class mail for $35.
Call toll-free. That's 800-228-6603. 8 weekly issues, just $35. So call now, 800-228-6603. Major credit cards accepted. The National Business Employment Weekly. Don't make a career move without it.
You're listening to WPLP.
News Talk Radio for Tampa Bay. 23.5 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. Now, I know that you people don't quite understand what it is I'm talking about, but if you take 30 seconds out of your busy little lives reading the Carrollwood Times or whatever it might be, to think about this, you'll see where I'm coming from. People in this town don't take you very seriously. People in this town don't think very much about you. That's why you're inundated with those disgusting Channel 10 commercials with Sheryl Browne. Nobody in his right mind should think that anyone would be enticed into tuning in a television station because there's some airhead sitting there saying, oh, and our voices just mesh together. Oh, they just do it. It wraps around mine, and oh, it's like it's so great. I mean, this is disgusting. This is what they think of you. This is what they think turns you on, and unless you're going to complain about it, unless you're going to stand up and cry about it, you're going to get more of it. St. Petersburg, hi, you're on the air at WPLP.
Good evening.
Where do you stand on Sheryl Browne?
I called in to find out who Sheryl Browne was. You had just been outlined a little bit, I guess, who she is. Something to do with Channel 10 or something. I never heard of Sheryl Browne before in my life.
Don't you ever watch television? Haven't you ever seen those commercials? They're disgusting.
Well, anyhow, she does the commercials only on 10. Huh?
No, she's the anchor woman, the co-anchor. But they have this whole series of commercials with her trying to entice people to watch her and John Wilson. Ah.
Oh, okay, that's who she is.
Gag me with a microphone.
Okay. I'd like to complain about the local yahoos have been calling in today about the AIDS thing, saying test them and quarantine them, test them and tattoo them. First of all, I guess this AIDS test gives quite a few false negatives and false positives.
Probably does, but I don't know what it's got to do with life in Tampa Bay. I mean, if we had better bars here, then people wouldn't be sitting home making stupid calls like that to talk radio stations.
And I guess the next thing is, before they even figure they have a fairly definite positive, they have to run the preliminary test twice, and then they run a more complicated test a third time. And didn't you say the other night that the big guy needs some replacement? His 707s are
the whole thing has gone right over your head. Indian Rocks, you're on there at WPLP.
Yeah, I'd like to mention a little bit about Sheryl Browne.
All right.
It really is pitiful. I've moved to this area about 3 months ago, and I am in the media business. I'm a columnist with some papers back in the New Jersey, Philadelphia market, and I've come down here looking to hook on to some papers as well as a columnist.
Go home, quickly.
Thankfully, I'm still up there on a weekly basis, and I've tried to bring the same column down here. It's a really good music-oriented column, and I've dealt with...
Do you review John Philip Sousa records?
No, it's anything that falls into the popular domain, anything from blues to rock and roll.
Well, unfortunately, down here, John Philip Sousa falls into the popular domain, but that's okay.
Yeah, you're right. And what I've discovered from a first-hand experience is this. Now, I've been a professional critic primarily, music critic, since 74. And my background is as a musician and as a songwriter. And I've had a couple songs of mine, recorded by people who are recognizable names. And though I've written for the Christian Science Monitor and Billboard and Cashbox and the Atlantic City Press and the Asbury Park Press and on and on and on, I have found it impossible down here to get anyone to pay attention. I'm dealing with a number of people in the media who are afraid of people with qualifications. There's a daily newspaper in this area where I dealt with the woman who was the entertainment editor, and when I told her I spent a year with the Christian Science Monitor as a contracted writer to them, giving them 12 pieces, she asked me what was the Christian Science Monitor. This is a woman at a major area.
Name the paper. Name the paper.
Pardon me?
Name the paper.
The Clearwater paper.
Clearwater paper. Marvelous.
She did not know what the Christian Science Monitor was. And I'm running into a situation here where I've got to cut back on my resume and lie, in a sense, by omission. And it really is frightening. I've had my own radio show in the Atlantic City market. I'm still regularly featured in some major areas. And I have found the media, whether it's television or print in this area, to be run by a bunch of people who are not concerned with anything of a media nature, who basically don't have much of a background in their own field.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read, for example, in the Tampa paper or in the St. Petersburg paper, usually it's the Sunday editions where you see the record reviews, I can tell who is rewriting the publicity sheets. See, what the public doesn't realize, I'll give you an example of where these guys are bozos. When you get a record to review, 9 times out of 10, the record company sends you what's called a bio sheet. And that might tell you a little bit about an album, and it might help if it's an artist who's totally unknown until that point. And I can look at a review in the Tampa paper or the St. Petersburg paper or elsewhere and determine if someone is regurgitating the bio sheet or if they really know what they're talking about. And the local music critics, by and large, are really a mediocre lot. They don't have a background at all.
It's all media critics. For example, we have a man at the St. Petersburg Times, Carl Vick. He's the TV editor. Carl Vick admits that he doesn't watch television. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, if they send it to him on a video cassette, then he'll watch it if he has the time. Over at the Tampa Tribune, we have a radio editor. Her first column, when it appeared, it said that one of the main things that was so interesting about her is that she used to play music on her mother's umbilical cord. And these people are employed.
Yeah, and what I have found was
home.
I got to the point where, as I said, I don't want any full-time position around here, but I did approach some radio stations, some newspapers, and some magazines in the area. And the one newspaper that said yes, unfortunately, went under about 6 weeks ago in Sarasota. And it really is a very strange market around here. It's like you walk in the door, you show them, Xeroxes of the various things you've done, and it's almost like they're afraid of you because you know what you're talking about.
This is a market that loves mediocrity.
Yes,
they
absolutely.
Just crave it here.
Well, this is true of the state in general. Occasionally, the Miami Herald approaches some kind of standards. Occasionally. The Orlando paper is very good-looking but contains nothing. The Jacksonville paper is a mediocre newspaper. You really have to go up to Atlanta to find a good paper within 500 miles of here.
I hear what you're saying.
And I'll tell you what really frightens me when you watch these ads for local news. It's not just here in Tampa. It's all over where they have these self-serving ads which can cause insulin shock. It's absolutely frightening where everybody acts like they have milk and cookies after the broadcast. And what they don't seem to realize...
I think they do. That's half the problem.
Yeah, well, what's really a sin, I think, is the fact that where's the investigative reporting? Where is the... for example, I've spent a lot of time in England over the last 3 or 4 years with a band that I was involved with in terms of management and production. And I watch a lot of the BBC and ITV news programs when I'm over there. And the big difference between television news in Great Britain and television news here is that you might see a 7 or 8 or 10 or 15-minute piece in England about something before the you-know-what hits the fan. Or Zimbabwe or whatever, it's going to explode. You know beforehand. You have some background. In this country, the news primarily is just concerned with the headlines, and that's it. It's absolutely frightening. And talk radio comes the closest to telling it like it is, and even there's problems. And you know and I know.
No, I know I've done entire programs on it. I may end up doing another one tonight. Thank you much, my friend.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Tampa, your turn at WPLP.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sheryl Browne and John Wilson, I guess, can be kind of appalled at how unprofessional they are. I guess the pits is kind of a most modern word you can use for their type of work. One thing I wanted to add to it was considering if you're an early morning person...
You see, the problem is I don't even know if their work is good because I find them so saccharine, and her in particular, that I can't even listen to the content. The content may be great. It's the presentation. It's disgusting.
Squeaky clean, I guess, is kind of the image they try to give, and it's not any... I don't think people live lives like that. One point I wanted to complain about another station was if you watch early morning TV, the only thing you could watch at 6 o'clock in the morning, if for early rises, was Ernie Lee in Channel 13. That could get old after a while, but I think the rest of the networks have caught on and have other programming available so you can watch something else.
Oh, I can't begin to tell you how popular Ernie is in this town.
Well, that shows you where the town's at, or where the old town is at. I imagine he's popular with the old-timers, but boy, if there's someone progressive, it's a little tough.
It sure is. Again, but nobody will complain about it. People just say, oh, okay, I'll take whatever you give me. I live in Tampa Bay. I don't have any taste.
I howl in the morning with the dogs and Ernie. So between Ernie and Sheryl Browne and John Wilson, those some improvements could help.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Largo, you're on there at WPLP.
Yes, Sheryl Browne. I think she ought to go work for Dynamint. They employ the same type of females there. They all suck. But seriously, though, I think she should stay home and take care of her children and cook dinner for her husband, just like all career women who take jobs away from men.
I don't know about that. I totally disagree with that. I think there's some incredibly good women in journalism. Unfortunately, there aren't too many, if any, in Tampa Bay. And no, it's not a sexist issue. Come on, give me a break.
Thank you.
My God, the man doesn't even have the courage of his convictions. You see, that's another thing that's wrong with this town. It's another thing that's wrong with this town. You shoot down an idea and people say, oh, okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry to bother you. Didn't mean to have an opinion about something. Hope I didn't offend you. Ah. Pinellas 393-0057. Tampa, your turn at WPLP.
Yes, Sheryl Browne. Mammalian protuberance is out the fanny. Out the fanny. I think she should be home. Hello, Bob.
Yes, I'm here. Go on. I'm loving it.
Well, the whole thing is maybe she should be on Dynasty or something like this here, you know?
Or a romper room. That would be a good job for her. Romper room.
Well, romper... I played on Romper Room once.
It's a fine show. But unfortunately, the style of Romper Room...
Baptized and everything like this here, how can you keep your mind on the news when you're looking at a girl who belongs maybe, I don't know, maybe in a magazine or something like this here?
I mean, what kind of credibility do you have when day after day you're seen on these ads and holding your little hands together saying, oh, and his voice just wraps around mine. Oh, God, I love it. Oh.
Ah, Bob, settle down. You're not making any sense now.
What do you mean I'm not making any sense? Haven't you seen the commercials? They're the ones that don't make any sense.
Now, I disagree with you there, Bob. I have to disagree.
Well, disagree.
I just did.
Oh, great.
The whole thing right there in a nutshell, it's a comedy show.
But it isn't.
You know what I'm saying?
But it isn't. It's not supposed to be. I know it ends up being one, but it's not supposed to be.
She can't even read her lines, Bob. Give me a break.
What kind of a break would you like?
Now, that was called for, probably, but I'm going to turn it around now and ask you a question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Now, here, are you talking about Sheryl Browne? Hello? Bob? Bob? If you're not talking about Sheryl Browne, I don't want to talk to you.
You know, I think this town deserves Sheryl Browne.
To join in the conversation, the number to call in Hillsborough County is 224-0057. In Pinellas County, 393-0057. And anywhere else in Florida, 1-800-334-0057.
When Whirlpool asked me, Sarah Purcell, to talk about their customer...
8:38 the time. Hi, Carol. You're on the air at WPLP.
Well, now, you've done it this time, Mr. Mad Dog Lassiter.
What's the problem now?
I was just driving home from work, and you really struck a raw nerve there with me. Now, sir, that young lady, Sheryl Browne, has explained many, many times on that show why that show is the success that it is, and apparently you missed it.
Well, enlighten me.
As many times as she's explained it, you already don't know.
No, I don't. Enlighten me.
Bob, it's a kick. I mean, it's really a kick.
It's a kick. And she has explained that it's a kick?
Haven't you ever heard her say that? That catches my ear every time.
And you live in Carrollwood, right?
Right.
Ah, no wonder you think it's a great show. I'm sitting here looking at the bulletin board.
Yeah.
All the exciting things to do in Carrollwood. Busch Gardens will be the site for a 22-hour telethon. Local veterans to be honored.
And there's Main Street Theater down there is open. That's another exciting thing out here. You know.
Oh, here's another great one. This is coming up. Oops, we already missed this one. This was on May 31st, a film about the port of Tampa.
Did I miss that one?
Yeah, apparently you did. I guess we all did. Oh, this is just great. Fantastic.
I'm missing all the good stuff out here.
Club news.
Have you ever caught that promo that she and John Wilson do where they're talking about, the elongating of the program to another half hour?
Right. Sometimes I turn to John and I say, if we only had a half hour, that story wouldn't have gotten on.
Well, I guess it wasn't important enough to get on.
And then she turns around and she says, I'm just really glad we've got this half hour because now we can really cover the news. And she goes, and that's a kick. And then she looks at you and she winks.
Yeah, it's a kick to the sales department. They get all that extra time to sell.
Right, and she gives you one of those Ronald Reagan smiles, and she goes, now, that's really a kick.
Well, better that she turns to the camera and smiles than sits there and pines over Wilson. God, have you ever seen her look at that man?
Oh, yeah, man. She looks like she's in love with that guy. And I like that he looks out at the audience. Every now and then he gives one of those big John Wilson winks,
Jeez, I don't know if the man's married or something, but gosh, if he is, his wife has got to be in a panic.
Yeah, his wife must be a pretty nice guy, but he's a wild and crazy guy. But anyway, Bob, when I heard that on the way home, I just wanted to let you know that you've been missing the whole point.
Well, I guess I have.
The show's a kick.
I guess so.
That's what makes the show what it is.
I think you've got a point there because several times I have unfortunately seen the show and I've gotten up from the couch and turned around and started kicking the wall.
Yeah, I've done that a few times myself.
Saying, I can't believe this. This is big time.
It is a little pissing. Okay, Bob, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, man.
You too. That opens up a line in Hillsborough, 224-0057. Largo, where do you stand on Sheryl Browne?
Well, I think she's a frump.
Good word. I like that, frump. I haven't heard that word for a while. I like that.
Yeah, and I believe she bleaches her hair, too.
It's a possibility.
And those fingernails, you think that's blood on those fingernails?
It could be from digging into poor John's back.
John, come back.
And those lips.
Probably doesn't shave her legs either.
No doubt. Well, my sister went to school with her, and she says she's a real tramp.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not. Our editorials, she gets them straight from CNN News.
I thought she got them from 57. St. Pete, you're on there at WPLP.
Yeah, Sheryl Browne is just saccharine. She's not even authentic sweet like cookies. Oh, dear. I read recently in one of the St. Petersburg newspapers, I'm new here also, and that the majority of high school dropouts are in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And that might account for the kind of anchors there are here. I thought they were pretty bad in Massachusetts and New York City, but here they're extremely bad.
I've never seen anything in the top 20 market that even comes close to the quality of local television news that we have here. It's in a league by itself.
I have a hard time watching it.
I do, too. Frankly, I almost never do. The only time I really ever get to see John and Cheryl is when I come home at night and I turn on Channel 10 for Nightline, and sometimes I foolishly turn it on, 8, 9, 10 minutes too soon and have to sit there and watch it.
What the hell excuse me, but what is John Wilson doing on,
Well, next to her, he looks great, doesn't he? He has authority and credibility.
No way. If you've ever heard his promos, he sounds like a complete idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Listen sometime. I wish I had the script in front of me, but...
There are so many fine women in television. Ted Turner probably has a stable of a dozen top-notch female television journalists.
Yeah, well...
There's not one in this community.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
I'm not so sure about that. I think that this town is afraid to succeed sometimes. And especially insofar as the media is concerned. We're afraid to do it right. We're afraid to give quality because? Well, my fear is that so many of the people who live in this area wouldn't know it and would run from it.
Yeah, well, that goes along with the high school dropouts.
Possibly.
I think they're really talking down to the people more than television usually does.
But if you're new to the state of Florida, you don't probably really have a concept as to just how big and consequently how rural this state is. When you hear stats like that, we're talking about probably more often than not places like Apalachicola or Live Oaks or any of those marvelous, marvelous towns out in the middle of nowhere. Do you realize that Pensacola is, I believe it's 100 miles closer to Chicago than it is to Miami?
No.
This is a mammoth state, a very, very big state, and the vast majority of it's rural.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is about being afraid to tell the truth. I would love the media to talk about the bigotry in Florida and be truthful about it. That might do something to get rid of it eventually.
Talk about the bigotry in Florida. That's a very strange thing that you should mention, because there's something that's been driving me insane, and I've been a real nice boy, and I haven't said anything about it. But there's a program, it happens to be on this station, it doesn't make any difference what station it's on, where once a week a guy comes in and he does a show of ethnic humor for 1 hour. Just one incredibly bad taste joke after another. And we live in the kind of town where not only are there people willing to participate in such a program, but there isn't even anybody willing to complain about it.
Yeah, well,
people here are too nice.
It's accepted. Bigotry is accepted as the norm. And if you're not bigoted, there's something wrong with you. That's what I found.
Well, that's part of the problem, but the other part of the problem is that people won't even complain about bad taste. So no wonder they don't complain about bad service and bad restaurants and bad TV and bad everything.
Where there's hatred, there's not reason. And where there's not reason, there's not going to be the search for truth.
You probably have a point.
Thanks
a good point. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Lutz, you're on the air at WPLP.
How do I stand on Sheryl Browne?
How do you stand on Sheryl Browne?
I like to stand on Sheryl Browne.
Yes, with 4-inch spikes.
This lady's, I go into convulsions every time I see this lady. She should be doing commercials with Tom Steimus and.
Oh, I just love it when he pounds on the hood. It gives me shivers up and down my spine. Oh, it's great.
Have you ever heard of Tom Steimus?
Oh, sure. I know who Steimus is.
I love that man. Oh, fantastic.
Oh.
Him and Dusty Rhodes. Oh, yeah. Shaking that van.
Mm-hmm.
What was that, $12,000 van?
Something like
car,
that.
It's another $1,000 off.
Yeah, I just love St. Petersburg and the old ladies. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Mm.
What's another one? Oh, a radio commercial. Van Scoy Diamond Mine.
I've not heard that.
You never heard of Van Scoy?
No.
Oh, if you want to hear someone who can... the best way to describe his voice is take your fingernails and scratch it on a blackboard. That's the best way. I always turn him off every time I hear him. He gives an entire 30-second... This whole commercial, 30 seconds, it tells everyone about how marketing works. How his diamonds are cheaper than anybody else's in the whole town.
I don't know how I've missed
How
these.
he cuts the middleman and
right, hey, how he loves to give things away for free.
Gives the best deal, how a diamond passes on from one guy to another guy to another guy, and that diamond was $100, is now worth $800. Well, we cut the middleman, we only handle it once, so
What, he has his own diamond mine?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Huh?
Where?
He ain't going to tell anybody. I don't know. He hasn't told us yet. But he gives us a whole schooling on marketing.
Must be right outside of Punta Gorda or something.
Oh, I'm trying to compare him with Mr. Carvel. I'm sure.
Oh, he's a winner. Yeah. Well, I used to live in Fort Lauderdale, and that's where he's headquartered.
Oh, Carvel?
Oh, yeah. He was all over the tube down there.
Have you ever seen what this man looks like?
Yes.
What does he look like?
Oh, worse than he appears on. You mean you've not seen him on his ads?
I've never seen it.
Okay, have you ever seen the Purdue chicken ads? Have you ever seen Frank Purdue?
Oh, God, no. You're kidding.
That's exactly what he looks like. They could be twins. Bald, short, frumpy. Oh, there's that word again, frumpy.
Frumpy?
Yeah. Showed up earlier tonight on the show. But that's exactly what Frank Carvel looks like.
I don't know. As far as
the kind of man that if you saw him giving an ice cream cone to your kid, you'd call the cops.
In fact, I never tried their ice cream. I never tried the. How is it? Is it any good?
Carvel's? I've not had Carvel's ice cream since I was a teenager. There was a Carvel in Westmont, New Jersey, the next town up from where I lived, and I've not had it since then. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was good or bad. Then the girls used to hang out there.
I lived in New Jersey, too. I never had it.
Really? Whereabouts?
Good old Newark.
Oh, one of my favorite towns.
Yeah,
yes.
Battlefield.
Yeah, it's where I used to have to go for my draft physicals. I always loved Newark.
Wonderful town. It's a wonderful vacation spot.
Yes, it really and truly is.
Yeah. Also about things to do around town, of course.
Oh.
The wonderful things to do in Tampa Bay. I'm a musician. That makes it even better. In fact, I sent you a tape, too. You probably chucked it out the window already.
When did you send the tape?
Oh, that was a while ago.
I don't remember receiving it.
You never received it?
I don't recall receiving a music tape.
Sent it first-class certified mail. One of your wonderful people signed for it. I'll have to look around for it.
Yeah, please send me a copy if you could.
It was on a cheap Radio Shack 30-minute tape, and I sent you...
Well, I know in that case, then I didn't use it for an audition tape, so I can't imagine what else I would have done with it. I would appreciate those 120s, good high quality if you're going to send something.
Oh, you want one of those?
Yeah, because I can then use them for audition tapes.
I only make $3.35 an hour, Bob.
Well, okay, I'll take the cheap Radio Shack tape.
Oh, thank you very much. Good talking to you, Bob. I'll let you get back and have fun with Cheryl there.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Choice. Finding the strength to face tough times.
We're walking around the world because we think nuclear weapons are something we all have to know about and come to terms with.
Why is Beth walking around the world for peace?
The 5 of us walk from town to town every step of the way, and we carry signs with us.
.5 is the time. I mean, most of you people are from someplace else. Okay, there are 12, 13 of you out there who were born and raised in this area, but everybody from someplace else. Think back to where you came from, right? You drive around and there's a place over there called, maybe Izzy's that sells steaks and hoagies and things like that, and then there's a place called John's and then Two Brothers and so forth and so on. Around here, it's all the Subway. Everything is franchised here. Everything is franchised. Mediocre. St. Petersburg, where do you stand on Sheryl Browne?
Your girlfriend, Sheryl Browne, had the best sports announcer fired over there at that radio.
You're kidding me.
Ken Brew.
How could that woman possibly have any influence?
How's that?
How could that woman possibly have any influence?
She had it done because it comes from a fairly reliable source.
Besides, Ken Brew went on to a hell of a good job.
After Sheryl Browne had him throwed out.
Well, it seems to me that Ken left with lots of notice and went to a better market, a better job doing things that he couldn't do here, like play-by-play as an example.
Well, he probably didn't want to work around her.
Oh, come on. Who would listen to Sheryl Browne?
Huh?
Who would listen to Sheryl Browne? Nobody would get fired because Sheryl Browne didn't like them.
Management.
Management?
That's right.
What, does she have some pictures of management and a sheep or something?
I couldn't tell you, but he was her downfall.
Son of a gun. What can I say? Thank you much.
Yes,
Tampa,
sir.
You're on the air at WPLP.
Yes, whenever I see Sheryl Browne, I have to get an air sickness bag out.
I would think more in the neighborhood of a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah, kind of reminds me back in the days of when the Osmonds were around, when they had their...
Oh, sir, that's a terrible thing to say about the Osmonds.
Ugh.
Terrible thing.
Ugh.
They were at least entertaining to a degree.
Yeah, but their sweetie pie smiles made me sick.
Oh, how that woman just gazes at Wilson. I can't... Oh, it just makes me cringe. The skin crawls, the whole bit.
I can't stand those ads.
I can't begin to conceive of who put those together. Who convinced them to put them on the air? I mean, they even buy time. They don't just run them on their own station, but they run them on CNN. They'll run them any place you can get them. I can't believe that somebody thinks that that's going to help. And if it does help, then we might as well all get out of town.
Well, that's all I have to say.
Thank you much.
All right.
St. Petersburg, your turn at WPLP.
Good evening. I think you should watch the news hour more closely. You're missing the most important part.
What am I missing?
Well, when Sheryl Browne came to this area, she was fluttery on the air.
Fluttery?
Fluttery.
Okay.
And it was a very serious news program prior to her. And I think the station decided they were going to have them all work around her and be very congenial and friendly. That works in some areas, but this bunch It doesn't work. It's a mess.
It really is.
But the only...
Got to be a consultant. Nobody but a consultant, if what you're telling me is true, could have done that.
No, it changed right after she came, and I think maybe some of the others will tell you that. The only thing is, watch John more closely. He looks at her half the time, and you can read his mind. He thinks to himself, my God, what a fool. Stop it. You can't see that? It's very apparent.
Well, as I said, I don't watch it that often, and when I do watch it, I am so drawn to her that I probably don't see what Wilson is doing.
Well,
because she's always doing something that makes me look at her.
Well, you should watch him. You can read his mind when he looks at her. She has one good feature, which is lacking in this area, in some of the other areas. She has a clarity of voice, and we're not getting that on TV in this area.
We're not getting very much on TV in this area of anything.
No, well, we're not getting that from the news broadcast.
I don't know where Channel 10 ranks. I should, but I don't know where Channel 10 ranks in terms of the ratings in their local news. But I know the other guys ain't exactly setting the world on fire either with what they're doing.
Well, she has some political pull with that station because she changed it radically.
Well, she was probably hired by a consultant who had already decided to make changes. I can't conceive of Sheryl Browne coming in and dictating how they were going to do things.
Well, it changed right after then, and they followed her lead in her actions. John is disgusted more or less of the time. You can tell that.
God, wouldn't you sometimes like to break into the studio and comb her hair?
Well, I don't turn on that much now. I get local news at 11, and I'll turn to 13, and then towards the end, I'll turn to 10 for Nightline.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Clearwater, your turn at WPLP.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Oh, I'm a first-time caller, too, and I'm very nervous. Please bear with me.
Don't be nervous.
I'm calling for Sheryl Browne.
For Sheryl Browne.
I'm the first guy, I guess.
Yes.
She, I think, fits this market.
Well, that's unfortunately what I said earlier.
That's exactly what I feel, too. And I watch very little television, and I used to read the paper avidly, but I read the paper less and less all the time, too, for the very same reason.
Yeah, the local papers.
Excuse me?
The local papers are really bad.
Oh, they are. They tell you what you want to, that they think you want to hear, what they think you want to see, and it's pretty obnoxious. But I'm in advertising. I'm also a commercial artist, like a lot of your callers are, and she does suit this market. People want fluff down here. They don't want aggravation down here. And unfortunately, it works. And quite frankly, I think she's perfect for the job. And if I should hire a person for that job, I would hire her in a heartbeat.
Well, you know, I've been here for 21 months, and I'm not sure that I totally agree with you that it's what people want. My fear is that people in this community are just afraid to complain. So they get...
You're right.
They get what they get. I don't...
You're right.
Who could possibly want to sit there and watch that all night long?
Well, I think you're exactly right, because that's one of the reasons I can't stand to watch it either. I don't want to hear about Gary Hart and his girlfriends. Tell me about the story on the first part of it. That's the end of it. I don't.
Well, tell me about Gary Hart the first night or two. You know, I'm just like everybody else. I like some juicy gossip, but not night after night after night.
Exactly. It's sickening. It's boring, disgusting. There are more things important. I'm not even interested in Iran Gate anymore. I mean, go for it. Tell me the end of the results. Thank God it didn't vote for the guy.
Well, Fawn Hall will be the witness later this week. It'll get interesting then again for a day or two.
Exactly. But I just wanted to be probably the only person tonight to say she should be there. She works. It works for this market. I'm sorry to say it, but it works for this market.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. CBS News coming your way at the top of the hour. All the latest national, international, all that kind of good stuff. We still have 2 hours to go with a Sheryl Browne night. You must start the conversation with a remark about Sheryl Browne, and then you can talk about other things.
Young men don't know what a thrill it is for me to be up here this afternoon addressing you. We want all you Cub Scouts to know that you should pick your own leader, who can be like myself, either a male or female, or a combination of both.
Minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock. Welcome back, hour number 2 for a Tuesday night, June the 2nd, 1987. We're discussing some of the finer points of life in Tampa Bay. Egg salad and meatloaf should be the biggest foods in the area. Egg salad and meatloaf. Where else would you possibly have the type of phone system that we have here? But people here will put up with anything. Where else would you find the kind of television that we have here? And it all started this afternoon when I was sitting around thinking about the show tonight, and one of those damned ads for Channel 8 News came on, and there was old Cheryl, and it drove me insane. It just drove me insane. I've dangled this one before this audience time and time again in the past, and it just always just kind of lays there because people in Tampa Bay are just so nice. They don't want to say nothing bad about no one, even if it deserves to be said. And I decided that we were going to come in here tonight and do it. And I didn't care if I got 2 calls or if I got 200 calls. It just didn't make any difference. I've got one line open. It's in Pinellas, 393-0057. Hi, Citrus Park. You're on air at WPLP.
Sheryl Browne gives me gas.
Gas?
I met the lady once.
Why?
Excuse me?
Why?
Well, I met the lady once. I'm in a journalism class, and we took a tour of Channel 8. As far as I'm concerned, she's just a bubblehead. She doesn't really know what she's doing on the station. Like, you know, those promo commercials come on, and it shows her working with the other people. And that didn't appear to be the picture there to me at all.
So was she sitting out in front of John's dressing room, you know, pining at the door or something?
Well, she was wandering around the editing room. Didn't really appear that she knew what she was doing. And you ever notice she can't even really say her name right? I mean, every time she comes on, my dad says, "Oh, look, it's Sheryl Browne," because she kind of says her name like Elmer Fudd.
Well, no, to tell you the truth, normally by the end of the newscast, I am screaming and shouting and, you know, just stomping around the room, pounding on the walls. I've never really noticed her say her name.
Did you happen to catch her on the Jerry Lewis telethon when they switched to the local part of the telephone?
Oh, you're kidding me. No, I missed that.
Oh, no, she was awful. The way it came across to me is that she had planned this big personal acting spiel of hers and just sort of let it go on TV without anybody else knowing. And it's like the other announcers.
Oh, what a tragedy. I wonder if I could get a tape of it. Maybe somebody has a tape they'd sell me or give to me or something.
Maybe so. The other announcers kept trying to talk, and she would continue, and it was awful.
What, was she gushing about John or something?
No, she was just trying to get people to call in and make their pledge, which is fine, but just the way she went about it, you know, her usual Sheryl Browne fashion just kind of made me sick. And what she was wearing made me puke.
Oh, tell me about it.
Oh gosh, it was this thing where her shoulders and arms were completely exposed. And
great.
Came up around her neck. You notice a lot of the things she wears protects her neck. Have you ever looked at her neck really closely on TV?
I beg your pardon, fella.
It's kind of baggy and covered with freckles. Kind of grosses me out. I mean, when she talks, it kind of flops around.
Well, Labor Day's not that far off. You know, we'll just have to set up the old VCR and hope for another replay of it this year.
I'll be surprised if a lot of the people that are listening to this doesn't call in and or at least write letters to Channel 8 and complain about Sheryl Browne.
Well, not in Tampa Bay. Forget that. This will all be forgotten in the morning.
You really don't. I don't know. There's a lot of people that write letters. It's like.
No, the only people that write letters are old ladies that write to the general manager here asking him to, kill me or something.
I hear a lot of people talking about you. Old Green Thumb was talking about you this weekend.
Oh, Mr. Begonias.
Yeah.
What was he saying? First of all, what were you doing listening to Mr. Green Thumb?
Well, I don't know. I usually keep this tuned into 57 a.m. and I just sort of turn this on and study. Kind of makes a good background.
And Green Thumb was taking shots at me?
Yeah. He talked about you for about 15 minutes, I guess, because he didn't have anybody calling in asking about their begonias.
What? Mr. Green Thumb didn't have calls, and he had to resort to talking about me?
I guess he was. I don't know. Nothing he said really any good. I mean.
He's a very, very nice man. I keep trying to tell him, though, if he would broaden his topics, then he'd do even better. He'd get more time, a better time slot. But no, every week the same old thing.
How are your begonias doing?
He was. I think he was He talked about you after he rejected another caller who wasn't really talking about plants, and he said if you want to talk about something important, call Big Bad Mr. Bob Lassiter.
Whoa. Whoa.
I might have it on tape. I'm not sure because I usually tape the broadcast there.
Well, I'll have to check that out and look into it. Thank you, my young friend.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye. A line open in Hillsborough, 224-0057. St. Pete, you're on air, WPLP.
You know something?
Yeah, I know lots of things.
Well, this is not Hillsborough. I've been on here for a while listening to you.
Uh-huh.
Collingswood yet?
Yes, Collingswood.
Dear God in heaven, Collingswood.
Collingswood.
Okay. No. First of all, I think she's insipid.
Another good word. I like that.
Right. And what I do is turn her off immediately. And what I do is put on Channel 10 for the late night news so that I can hear Ted Koppel.
Well, I know what you're saying, but I sometimes get caught. I come home, I turn it on, and it's on Channel 8.
Right.
And I sit there like a fool for 10 minutes not realizing that I've got the wrong channel on.
That's your problem.
Well, I know that, but look what I have to put up with all night long. And here, it's okay that I go home and I forget.
Like with me.
Well, no, not
but
you. You're a delightful caller.
My God, who was Collingswood?
Collingswood, yes.
Yeah. No, you know.
Yes, I really am.
Well, I know you told me that already. I know.
Okay.
But Connie Chung, I happen to think, and Diane Sawyer, they are my idea of women that do the news.
There are dozens and dozens of extremely good
Better
women.
believe it.
And why we can't have at least one of them here is beyond me.
I don't know. There's a lot of women down this area that must be.
Miami has 3 or 4 excellent women. Excellent.
God, what do we get? The dregs?
Apparently.
And nobody complains.
I'm also worried, too, about that poor puppy-faced one, Gail Sirens.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of parents must she have that let her sit there next to that man?
I don't know.
I tell you.
I don't know.
Neither do I. But I thank you much anyway.
But I'm just telling you, it's not so that there should be certainly some talent in this area. We cannot be this dirt. There has to be.
Well, perhaps after this evening's show, we'll find some.
Well, I'm Collingswood. Oh, my God.
Collingswood, yes, Collingswood.
Hey, the good restaurants in the vicinity, Philadelphia, New York, don't you miss it?
Oh, terribly.
Me too.
Terribly, terribly. Best news I've had since I moved here is that they're opening up another Philly South restaurant, and it's going to be closer to my house.
Where? What time?
Philly South, it'll be, the new location will be right behind the Tyrone Square Mall, which isn't that far from where I live.
No.
Much, much closer than where it is now.
I'm in St. Petersburg.
They have tasty cakes, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all kinds of good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Dear God. Tasty cakes.
Bye-bye. Gulfport, you're on the air at WPLP.
Yes, hello. I listen to all American people speaking this evening, and I'm from Ukraine, and I'm trying to perfect my English.
Yeah, but where do you stand on Sheryl Browne?
Well, okay, I tell you, I think she is she's very silly, and she has no substance.
Okay, now you can continue.
Did that make sense to you?
Sure.
Okay, now, the thing, I just feel that I listen to these programs to improve my English, and I was listening at the beginning of the show, and you had a man who said that did he suggest to you that you study the school system?
Right.
Well, I think I recognize his voice. He is an excellent teacher, but he does not teach in that school anymore. And the reason was because he is not mediocre, and it seemed that the teachers who were there, maybe with one exception besides him, were just nothing but mediocre. And this is a problem with your school system over here. I want to tell you, the word is dedication. These teachers are not dedicated. You find 1 out of 15 out of 20. Everybody else is looking for a paycheck. That's fine. Everybody has to live.
But what does this have to do with what we're talking about tonight?
Well, it has a lot to do with it. I'm telling you, I learn a lot from your program. I learn a lot of English. You asked me what I thought of Sheryl Browne, so I told you. But I think maybe you should get to check into that school system. Get somebody to do it. It's bad. We have kids who speak perfect English, but they're not learning a damn thing.
Well, we'll let Jack Ellery do it. He has a great knack for that kind of stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Great numbers, too, over there. Oldsmar, you're on the air at WPLP.
Yeah, Bob, listen, I'd like to talk about the turkey neck Sheryl Browne, but I don't know enough adjectives. Let me introduce myself. This is Gail Sarin. And, well, actually, that was the only throat cancer impression I do right now. But,
okay.
But I'd like to get serious, if I could.
Let's get serious.
Okay, I want to give a little time here to the other stations, too. First of all, Ken Brew. We were talking about Ken Brew just a couple minutes ago. I think Ken Brew, first of all, I never liked him when he was here. I think he was just a poor rip-off of Marv Albert from NBC Sports.
Well, I never watched the sports people. All the sports people turned me off.
Right.
He was no worse than any of the others to me.
Now, getting back to the girls, one thing I noticed, Channel 13's got this one chick, her name is Kelly something or other.
Kelly Craig.
Right, and she looks great from the waist up, but I've seen her in person.
Oh, you're kidding.
The woman's got about 90 pounds to lose on the hips. I can tell you that.
Oh, my goodness, really?
I'm not kidding. I tell you, it blows the whole illusion there.
How about the legs, though? The legs
the
okay?
The legs are like, well, put the hips on the legs, and that's what you get.
Oh, my God.
Okay, one other thing, too. Did you ever notice how the local stations, I've never seen this before, they try to fool the viewers here. What they do is on the weekend, when they put on the replacement people, they're putting on almost look-alikes for the people who are on during the week.
Oh, how could that be?
I can't believe they have, like, the girl who does the weekends for Sheryl Browne is, like, blonde hair, loose neck, the whole thing.
Oh.
And the same thing happens on the other stations.
She gobbles, too?
I couldn't believe it.
Oh, this is terrible. Terrible. Fortunately, I almost never catch local news on the weekends.
Well, lucky you.
Yes, lucky me.
Bob, I want to tell you, I think you have a great show, and I listen a lot. This is the first time I've ever called you, but I want you to know you deserve a lot better than this market.
Well, this market deserves something. That's why I'm
bring
here.
A little bit into the media here locally.
Thank you much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
And now our next contestant was chosen right from our studio audience. And listen to that little laugh she has there, don't you? Now, what's your name, ma'am? Well, Miss Johnson, you don't mind if I call you Hilda, do you? Well, Hilda, what are you going to do with the money if you win?
I have a very sick son.
The phone numbers that put you on the air at WPLP are in Hillsborough County, 224-0057. In Pinellas County, 393-0057.
Commercials? I've seen the commercials, but the commercials are just that. They're trying to make you think that, each one of the stations has got them. If you look at, you're going to see Bob Height chit-chatting, and what's her name? Gail Sarin is right along with him. And then, I can't think of their names on Channel 13 because I guess...
Gail and you, isn't it?
But I really think that that's just part of advertising, that's all. they're buttering us up as well as they're buttering us.
But the point is, if that's what they really think we want, and I will go to my grave convinced it's not what we really want. I don't know where they came up with the idea, but if they think that's what we really want, then they're considering us to be fools.
That's true. They're using advertising techniques on us, but it's a dog-eat-dog world, I guess, on television, just as it is on radio.
And I appreciate what you said about the commercials, but the fact of the matter is she also sits there at the news desk during the actual broadcast, also pining over him.
Have you ever heard the expression happy talk? They came up with
sure have, of course.
Sure, they've come up with happy talk, about 10 years ago, something like that. They started it in New York when I was up there, and all of a sudden, all of the anchors were chit-chatting and laughing and git-gabbing with each other like mad in between, and sometimes at the most inappropriate times. And I think occasionally everybody gets carried away with that.
Well, the chit-chat is bad enough. It's those puppy dog eyes just staring at him. And I'm sure she's told to do it.
The other thing that I'm calling you to object to is personal references to Cheryl herself and her appearance. Cheryl is the oldest of the three anchor girls that are on the three major channels down here. And I'm not saying she's old. I wish I was as old as she is.
Oh, I think you'd only have to be about 25 to be the oldest.
No, I think Cheryl is about 40, if I'm not mistaken.
But I'm saying you'd only have to be about 25 or so to be the oldest.
The other two are really, really young. And appearances, who cares about appearances? I watch David Brinkley on Sunday morning, and I enjoy him to death. Have you ever looked at his face lately? He looks like the map of the United States.
Yes, but at least he doesn't pine over George Will.
No, but he just might over Barbara. And remember...
I've never seen a David Brinkley commercial where he's saying, and Sam's voice and mine just meshed together so nice.
No, but remember the Huntley-Brinkley report?
Sure I do.
They did their advertising together, and they talked about Chet says this, and when David says such and such, and on blah, 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 blah. But they were a pair of men, and you could accept it. But all of a sudden, it's a man and a woman now. Back in those days, we didn't have women anchor persons. All we had was men. And when they did two commercials, you sat up and listened. But all of a sudden, we have these ladies, and they're out there doing their best in a man's world, right up front. Their faces are not hidden like the people on radio. They're out there right in the front, and I think they're all trying. And if they're told that they've got to do some advertising, and the advertising looks a little dumb, well, let's blame the advertising agency and the network, because the station, I should say, not the network, the local station. But Cheryl may have a speech defect, and I believe she does. But it certainly didn't stop Barbara
Walters.
Barbara Walters.
Or Wawa, as the case may be.
Yeah, right. It hasn't stopped a great many people. I mean, if you have a speech defect, you've got a speech defect. Too bad.
Nor should it stop anyone. But I think the whole point I'm trying to make tonight is that we put up with this, and no one ever complains. Nobody ever says anything. This is such a polite community, and because it's such a polite community, we are fed trite, mediocre junk.
You can find that anywhere. I just spent 1.5 years in New Jersey before I came back here. Believe it or not, I went home for 1.5 years and then returned to this area to live permanently. And they're doing the same thing up there, and I'm looking at local New York stations, which are supposed to be the sophisticates of the network.
Well, a local New York radio and television is nothing to write home about. I've been aware of that for a long, long time.
They're all doing the same thing. They're all doing the same thing. They really are. But I just felt that I really needed to call in because I felt, first of all, let's get her on the right channel. And second of all, if we disagree with how she's coming across, give her some constructive criticism and don't make fun of her because she may have a few wrinkles in her neck and because she's got an impediment in her speech, which is very, very slight. I wish I had her talent and could do what she's doing.
Well, if she'd stop looking at John with those puppy dog eyes, then I'd forgive her for everything else. Thank you very much.
It's been very nice talking to you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
To join in the conversation, the number to call in Hillsborough County is 224-0057. In Pinellas County, 393-0057. And anywhere else in Florida, 1-800-334-0057.
9:37 the time. I'm not so sure that that's a valid excuse. The excuse is, well, they have to do this. They're told to do it. I don't know that I buy that. I work in the media, too. And there's such a thing as pride. Yeah, the jobs are damned far and few between and hard to get. But there's such a thing as pride. And I guarantee you that for myself, and I think that everybody else I work with at this station, and probably everybody I've ever worked with in this business, if we were forced to read fraudulent copy saying, oh, God, I want to tell you, my voice and Tim Cole's just meshed together so nice, or whatever it might be, I would quit before I would do it. There is something called pride, you know? One line open in Hillsborough, 224-0057 is the number, 224-0057. Hi, St. Pete. You're on the air at WPLP.
Well, I think Cheryl is sexy.
Sexy?
I think she's a fox.
Oh, give me a break.
Turns me on. I think the woman is gorgeous.
Another crank caller.
No, I'm serious.
What, we got a payphone out in front of your bar, fella?
Woman is really gorgeous. And I've met her several times in person. She's quite beautiful.
Well, I appreciate that the lighting on one of those, spots is side lighting, and using side lighting on a woman is always, it's just not what you do. It makes anybody's face look like the relief map of a moon. But gorgeous and sexy?
Oh, she is. She is really, she takes beautiful care of herself. She's in great physical shape. She's got a terrific body. She has a very pretty face. And she's very...
Then why can't she do better than John Wilson?
Well, she's not. John Wilson's married. They don't have...
How'd you like to be John Wilson's wife and turn on the tube every night and see that?
They don't have anything to do with each other off the air. But I agree with you about those insipid commercials. Insipid. Frank Maggot strikes again. The man who is dictating our television viewing patterns. And I don't think that stuff works. I think it works coincidentally. I think it works by accident. I think the stations that pay Frank Maggot these enormous fees also spend huge budgets promoting, and I think anything you spend that much money on promotion on will probably get more audience even if you do it all wrong.
In all honesty, it can't be an accident. There has to be some type of conscious thought behind those commercials and behind the way they conduct themselves on the newscast. They are trying to send a message that there is something going on between John and
Oh,
Cheryl.
Absolutely, but they're not the only one. You got Kelly talking about Hugh.
Yeah, but come on, that's stretching the imagination a little bit too far, you know what I mean?
Kelly and Hugh?
Right.
Oh, I know. Did you see this?
A granddad and granddaughter.
The series before this one, where they had all of the Channel 13 news people who've all been there for like 20 years, and they had them all in black and white photos from 20 years ago. And
wait a second. The people that have been there for 20 years, they still refer to as the new kids.
And they slipped a black and white photo of Kelly Craig in there like we're supposed to believe she was there 20 years ago. She was sucking her thumb, and somebody was changing her diapers. Come on.
No, I missed that series. I guess I was busy that week.
Well, Hugh Smith really was there 20 years ago.
I know.
Was there 20 years ago. And they had, and Andy Hardy was there 20 years ago, and they had all these old black and white photos, and they did like this little montage, and right in the middle of the whole set, they had a black and white photo of Kelly Craig.
Well, was she in a playsuit with a lollipop?
As if we're, which was obviously taken last week. As if we're supposed to believe that 20 years ago, Kelly Craig was in their news department. Come on!
I remember last year during the local, or actually I should say statewide television news awards. I can't remember what the awards program is called. It doesn't really make any difference. But the people in Tampa Bay didn't do very well. None of them did very well. And they were screaming and hollering about, it's politics. They don't give us the awards because it all goes to Miami. How they can, with a straight face, say that when you look at Miami television, even Jacksonville television, I think is better than Tampa Bay. And this is a major market, 14th, 15th, however you want to count.
14th, yeah.
That's outrageous. It's just outrageous. I don't know what the problem is. Is it that they don't pay enough to attract top quality help, or is it that they just don't want to put on top quality?
They pay a lot, but you got a lot of turnover, and it's just a very strange market, a very transient market. You got a lot of turnover, and you have a lot of corporate ownership of stations here. You don't have independent broadcasters.
Yeah, but there's virtually no such thing as an independent broadcaster in a top 20 market in network affiliate television anymore.
There are still a few that are operated like independent broadcasters that aren't just completely Cheerios television. And And I think the other thing is, as a result of that, you have a very, very heavy dependency on consultants in this market. And Channel 13 is number 1. Channel 10 is number 2. But Channel 10 is number 1 with the yuppie demographic.
The yuppies like this?
Well, you know, what are the alternatives? You know, I mean, that's the point.
Read.
No alternatives. I mean, you know.
You could read, you could talk to your wife, you could walk the dog.
Basically, they have Sheryl Browne, Kelly Craig, and Gail Sarins, if you watch all of them, are all doing that same commercial. Channel 13 has Kelly Craig with the same exact kind of a limbo light, with the same left side lighting, and this almost the same script talking about you, Smith, almost the same way.
Well, again, I come back to what I said at the beginning of the program, and this goes back to the first show I did in Tampa Bay. When I did the poll, I threw the question in, who's the worst on television, and nobody would answer the question because everybody here is just too nice to do that. I can't think of another market in this country when people come into your house night after night on the tube where the audience doesn't have an opinion and a willingness to express it.
Well, I think they're all really pretty pablum right now. 6 months ago, I would have told you easily the worst on TV was Ken Brew, without question.
The worst, Ken Brew?
Ken Brew, yeah.
Okay.
Without question, the sportscaster on Channel 10. But he's gone, so I don't have him to pick on anymore.
No, and he got himself a damn good job, too.
Yeah. So, and I really couldn't pick a worse. My favorite is Gail Sarins. I like her the best. Because I think she's real.
Real?
Yeah, she's the most real of all of them. She comes across as an actual, honest-to-God human being.
I don't watch her enough to really pass comment. I do not watch local news as a general rule of thumb. Virtually the only time I catch it is when I come home at night. If I turn the television on, whatever station is on, I will usually like a fool sit there because I'm talking to my wife and it's on and I kind of watch it and I'm not really watching it, and then, you know, it's one eye, one ear, that type of thing. Or I will deliberately turn on Channel 10 so as not to miss the beginning of Nightline.
But in general, I find that Channel 8 seems to be the most honest kind of a delivery. It's the least happy talk, the least insincerity, and the most, maybe professional kind of a... I thought Channel 13 was until they put Kelly Craig on, which I think is a big mistake. They took the most polished, most professional news delivery, I think, in the state.
Well, when I first moved here, I tried very hard to watch the local news, but they just kept insulting my intelligence to the point where I stopped watching it. I did the same thing in Pittsburgh with the newspapers. When I lived in that city, the newspapers were awful, so I actually didn't even read them. Bought the Wall Street Journal instead of the local newspaper. These people have driven me away, and I would think that they're probably driving other people away, too.
And, I'm sure Kelly Craig is a real nice girl, but she just comes off like she's about 17 years old.
I'm sure they're all very nice women. I'm sure that Sheryl Browne is a very nice woman, but there's something called pride. Why do they put up with this, if indeed it is the consultant's fault, if indeed they are told to do this? I mean, there are other ways of earning a living.
This is their chosen field, man. Those consultants are all powerful. I mean, if you get on the wrong side of Frank Maggot, you might as well find another line of work besides television news.
Thank you much.
Bye.
Bye. Tampa, your turn at WPLP.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Another one to disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm a 57-year-old news freak. I like to watch news. Upsets the wife, but she does agree with myself on Sheryl Browne. The lady is sincere, has compassion and empathy. And
you're kidding me.
Love for people. Maybe that's why you see this love in her eyes.
You're kidding me. You think those commercials and the way that she conducts herself with Wilson during the newscast, that's sincerity?
She conducts herself like that with anybody. She has an outward...
You gotta be a soft touch for insurance people.
No, don't. I just like her presentation on the news, the way she comes across.
Mm-hmm.
She's very professional, and she puts feeling into the news. It's not like she's just reading a chart and that's it. You can get that on radio.
Do you truly believe that she turned to John Brown or to the other John?
I just like her presentation on the news, the way she comes across.
Mm-hmm.
She's very professional and she puts feeling into the news. It's not like she's just reading a chart and that's it. You can get that on radio.
Do you truly believe that she turned to John Brown or to John Wilson one night and said, "Gee, that story wouldn't have gotten on if we only had a half hour"? Do you really think that happened?
It's possible.
I know it's possible. Anything is possible. But do you really think that happened?
Be honest with you, I watched them at the 11 o'clock because I don't care for the hour news. I'd rather catch two national newses at 6:30 and 7. So I watch Channel 8 now at 6 o'clock since they went to the hour format, and I'll watch them at 11 o'clock.
Well, do you realize we've been going on for an hour and 48 minutes on this topic, and you're the second person, to come out and say, "I like what Sheryl Browne is doing"?
Oh.
Doesn't that tell you something?
Yeah, it tells you that I really like the girl and I like news. And I think she does a good presentation.
Oh.
And Barbara Callahan.
Okay.
Okay, my friend.
Thank you much. Bye-bye. I believe firmly in my heart the man probably has 1 billion insurance policies. He's got to be a soft touch. Reddington Beach, your turn at WPLP.
Good evening, Bob.
Good evening.
This is Bruce. How are you this evening?
Fine.
I've been listening to your, before I go on, I promised myself I wouldn't call again your station because the last time I did, you made fun of me.
Great, but where do you stand on Sheryl Browne?
Well, I've been listening to the program this evening, Bob, and I don't think it's very nice of people talking that way about the lady.
Great, but where do you stand on Sheryl Browne?
Well, I think she's good.
I'll bet you do.
Well, I think she's good. But I really think that we should have more guys. What do you think?
I'll bet you do. St. Petersburg, you're on the air at WPLP.
Yes. Bob?
Yes.
I don't have 1 billion life insurance policies, but I did...
Oh, not another one.
But I did want to say one thing. I have to agree with the caller, the man there from, I think he was from Tampa.
Uh-huh.
And I feel that Sheryl Browne is a very compassionate person when it comes to doing the news. Now, I'm a pretty critical person in regard to watching these people on these local news shows, and I'll agree with you. It's not the best thing to watch in regard to professionalism, but I'll tell you that Channel 8's got to go, number one, okay? And the reason why Channel 8's got to go is, first of all, Bob Hite, all right? First of all, his teeth are crooked, if anybody's ever noticed. He ought to get his damn teeth fixed. Number two, when he gets done talking, he shuffles his hands around with the papers on the desk. I think that's very unprofessional. And number three, Gail Sarin talks like she's got a frog in her throat. And I can't stand that. That really irritates me.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Getting back to John Wilson and Sheryl Browne, so they look at each other on a commercial. I think his wife has enough intelligence that's something that the station has them do. It may be right, it may be wrong, but basically I feel that they're the best on the news. Channel 13, some guy said that what's her name, Kelly Craig?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she comes across as a 17-year-old, basically, and I really, it's too bad about her hips weighing 90 pounds, but we don't look at her hips. You know what I mean?
Well, some of us do, I suppose.
Well, I can't see her hips, not from my living room.
Granted, I haven't run into too many hip men in my time, but I'm sure there are some.
But otherwise, and the other thing with Channel 8, they've got the stupidest commercials, time well spent, helping you win. That stuff is corny. I just think that Channel 10, I think they come across as professional. They have a lot of compassion for the stories, and so what? Sheryl Browne's got a few wrinkles in her neck, so do a lot of other people out on the street.
Okay, let's come back to Channel 10. You say you watch. You've got to know that the whole thing with John and Cheryl is that she sits there and looks at him adoringly. There is an obvious effort on the part of the station, the management, the consultant, whoever you want to blame it on, to make us think that there's something there.
Yeah, but
there's something there, and we're all supposed to tune in to see if John looks at her the same way.
You think everybody thinks that? that watches Channel 10?
Subconsciously, it's the message that's being sent.
Well, sent to you maybe, and maybe a few other people, but I don't think that many people, the majority of the people, think that. I think the people that do watch Channel 10 watch it for the same reason I do, is that they're not stiff and they're just compassionate and they're professional to a point where they're not real businesslike. And like I say, people can read anything into anything, all right? But I just feel that she and he work well together and the compassion's there. And they're not corny. That's the main thing. They're not corny. Oh, one other thing. A few months ago on the radio, Kelly Craig and, was it Hugh Smith? The one with the toupee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They would have this commercial going, and they'd be playing music, and they'd be talking about each other. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a few months ago.
I probably did. It didn't stick with me, though.
It sounded like, I mean, you're talking about reading things then. The way they were talking about each other, it sounded like they were in love with each other. I mean, that Sheryl Browne looking at John Wilson every once in a while and smiling is nothing compared to these two talking about each other.
Well, at least Cheryl and John are a little more believable as an item.
Just because she looks at them every once in a while and smiles?
No, I'm saying that they're more believable as an item than the other team that you mentioned would be believable. That one, sort of is soft on the other one, sweet on the other one.
I for some reason, I don't read that into John Wilson and Sheryl Browne. I just think that they work very well together, and I'll tell you, if they put anybody else on Channel 10, I probably wouldn't even watch it. I'd probably just listen to the radio, because I really do enjoy turning it on and watching them work together. And I'll tell you another thing, you're probably going to think I'm nuts, but I don't think Ken Brew is that bad of a sportscaster. I think he'd put a bit of a comedy into it.
Well, as I said, I've just never watched the sports. That is one thing that is a total turnoff to me. This is one male where they don't suck me in with a sportsman. I couldn't tell you about Ken Brew. I probably couldn't pick him out of a lineup.
Ken Brew is a really an average-looking guy. He wasn't. Well, some of these guys look like models, just like some of the girls do. That's another thing with Sheryl Browne. She doesn't come off as a model type. She comes off as a very mature woman that knows what she's doing when it comes to reporting the news. But getting back to Ken Brew, like I said, he put a bit of a comedy into the sports. It's kind of funny, and that's good, because it wasn't just so dry. Some of these guys, sportscasters, are so dry, and they get really boring to listen to and to watch. Like I say, people can say what they want about Sheryl Browne. They can cut her up and down physically, but I'll tell you one thing. She beats the other two put together.
Takes all kinds. I thank you much, my friend.
All righty.
Bye-bye. Tampa, your turn at WPLP.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I can't say yes or no in terms of this woman you talk about, because I have not seen her, or if I've seen her, she hasn't impacted me at all, certainly not the way she has you. I'm sorry I can't be more plus or minus. I'd like to comment about two other things, if I may, though.
What's that?
Well, you say this is Get Anyone Tonight, right?
Right, character assassination night.
Newscasters or entertainers.
Right.
And that covers two people on your own station. One of them you already have referred to, and that's Dutch Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of his Friday evening show, I certainly, in fact, I called his manager. His, what he considers cute, clever jokes on Friday afternoon, or early Friday evening, that just shouldn't be permitted on radio. And the other one who I just can't stand for lots of reasons, mainly because he cloaks himself in being such a fine gentleman, is Tim Cole. He's so biased, so distorted, so one way, and very unfair with anyone who's critical, because he's sharp and fast to use the button.
Well, let me go back.
Been cut off a couple times, that annoys me, and obviously that influences how I feel about him, too.
Let me go back and comment on something you just said concerning Wheeler's show, that it shouldn't be allowed on the air. I couldn't disagree more. I would not do anything to try to get that program or programs like it taken off the air, but what astounds me is that it doesn't generate any comment.
Well, when I was interested in reaction of management, it happened, I don't call very often, Bob, but I had called twice in the same week. And one about a person who I was trying to get to cold when he was substituting for Dave.
Uh-huh.
And he had someone on who had said something. Some woman came on defending what the prior person had said. And the program director, whoever he was at that time, asked me who I wanted to talk to and what about. And I told him that I wanted to comment about Tim Cole's response to the woman who had responded to the man prior to her. And he said, why? And I told him. And he told me with four-letter F word to get off and cut me off. So I called management immediately on that and also wrote them a letter, and I got an apology the same day, in fact, from the new general manager, whatever he's called. And on the Wheeler one, from the same source, I got no response at all. Not plus, yes, nay, or thanks for your call or anything else. It was very non-committal. So I assume that those Friday afternoon jokes will continue unless there is some raucous raised about it. The one other thing, the reason I can't comment on 10 is that I am very biased towards CNN in terms of my news, and Ted Koppel I watch almost religiously every night. And the other people I like, and for being a certainly liberal left of center somewhat, I really am very much interested, for example, in John McLaughlin, One-on-One, and also his McLaughlin Report.
One of my favorite shows.
It's
The Report.
An exciting, entertaining exchange between people with such broad, different views. And again, I get excited and frustrated, but...
it's a great concept in a news program because you have those five people sitting there, and they're not restricted by the rules of politeness. If somebody thinks that somebody's a jerk, he says, yeah, you're a jerk.
Yeah, and sometimes all of them are talking at the same time. It's annoying because you can't understand any of them, but hell, it is entertaining, and it's exciting journalism, I think.
It is. It's a great show. I've never seen One-on-One, but I tried to not miss The Report.
Well, One-on-One is with McLaughlin, too, and I hear your music. The other one I like is Washington Week in Review. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye. CBS News coming your way in seconds. One more hour yet to go before this evening is through. Please, whatever you do, don't venture very far.
Good afternoon. This is your Barnes Department Store shopping counselor. After working hours at 6 p.m., on the 6th floor, models with display gowns half off.
After the hour of 10 o'clock, welcome back. Third and final hour of this Bob Lassiter show for a Tuesday night, June the 2nd, 1987. You guys are doing fantastically, but I'll get to that in a moment. Last night at this time, I announced that on Wednesday night, tomorrow night, my guest would be a man named, what is his name? Yes, James Cumber. And then on Thursday night, my guest would be Soupy Sales. Well, you can forget all of that because Soupy can't make it Thursday night, but Soupy can make it Wednesday night. That's tomorrow night. But unfortunately, James can't make it Thursday night, so he'll be here Friday night. And I hope that clears up any misunderstanding that we may have had. Well, I'm really, really very pleased with this audience. This audience has really gotten into the spirit of it tonight. They're ripping and just gossiping, and it's great. Because it's what we need a little bit more of. You see, when I first came to this community, when I first came to this station, you would turn on talk radio and you'd hear people saying things like, I tell you, that guy Tip O'Neill, he just ain't no good. Well, maybe Tip is good or maybe he isn't, but we got a lot of things right here at home to complain about. We don't have to go to Washington to find people to writ, right? You got it. There was even one guy, I just loved him. He showed up virtually every day. No matter what you were talking about, he would turn the conversation into Eisenhower. I mean, you could be talking about where to get a good pizza, and this guy would call up and somehow find a way of blaming Dwight David Eisenhower for lousy pizza. It was great. He would start off nice and slow, and then the intensity would build and build and build with a call. I don't know what happened to him. He hasn't been heard from for quite some time. Either he's passed on or finally gotten the hint and he no longer calls. It doesn't make much difference to us one way or the other as long as it stays that way. So tonight I thought we would go after Sheryl Browne. Now, you see, Cheryl's probably a real nice lady, and I have nothing against the woman personally, but she and her employer insist upon barging into my living room unannounced with these obscene commercials that, they're enough to turn your little tum-tum. And I can't take it anymore. And I've mentioned it a number of times on this program. And it never drew any response at all, and I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe that the good citizens of Tampa Bay would take this laying down. And I decided that tonight we were going to talk about Sheryl Browne come hell or high water. That there would be no other topic for all practical purposes. That we were going to get this out, lay it on the table, have our feelings known, and that just maybe, the bozos who run these television stations and who make up these commercials and inflict them upon us, and the bozos who run these television stations and format the newscasts as they are currently formatted, might take a hint that we just really don't like it, because you see, the people of Tampa Bay are nice people. They're nice people like everybody. All over the country, people are nice people. But there's a difference. In most communities, when people are fed pap, they say, hey, this is pap. Don't feed us this stuff anymore. But not in Tampa Bay. When you're fed pap in Tampa Bay, you just kind of take it. Oh, okay. Oh, another helping, please. And it doesn't have to be that way. It just does not have to be that way. And you guys are doing great tonight. Back to the phones we go. Hi, St. Pete. You're on the air at WPLP.
I love it. This is great.
Oh, there's going to be a lot more of it. You know what we're going after next? The waiters and waitresses of this community. I have mentioned that before, too, and I just get nothing.
That'll take up a week.
Oh, well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
I can't believe that the Sheryl Browne controversy, well, you've done it, Bob. You broke a new ground here. Maybe Cheryl will come out of her state of metamorphosis.
I hope so.
I got it, Bob. I got it.
For her own self-respect. Cheryl, if you're listening, please.
Right. Let's get some equal time. That's why I called in. Invite her on your show for some informal phone-in questions.
Well, the problem is with
they
news.
Won't let her.
Well, I'm sure they would let her, except after tonight, I doubt she'd want to do it. But the real problem with news people is their schedules simply do not permit them to come into an evening talk show.
Well, maybe you could tape it for posterity.
Well, something like that.
Well, if you can't...
Or for laughs.
Well, if you can't get her, maybe you could get that powerhouse Murphy in the morning. And if that failed, maybe you could go for Big John Naughton.
Oh, that would be a good show. And maybe we could get Big John and Tom Steinitz in your debating.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
Oh, that would be the show of all shows.
They think alike.
They probably do.
Yeah. Well, maybe they could march in together with Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, we could get an old, we could go to the junkyard and get an old hood or something and put it next to the chair for Tom to pound on.
Well, God forbid if that doesn't work. Maybe we could get the clown that's scheduled to work on the interstate during the rush hour. I got a suspicion here, Bob. I think that it's a plot by the Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, or maybe the 54th Avenue Freeway Development Committee, to promote the inner city.
Maybe we could get Sheryl Browne appointed highway commissioner. Maybe, the highways couldn't get any worse. They probably wouldn't get any better, but then we wouldn't have to look at her putting up with her looking at John Wilson.
I'm dead serious about this, though. It would be interesting to get her on your program. Maybe the real Sheryl Browne will step forward.
Well, Cheryl, if you're listening, you have an open invitation.
I love it, Bob. Keep it up.
Okay. God, but what would I do if she sat here and looked at me the way she looks at John? Oh, Bradenton, you're on here at WPLP.
Yeah, do you want Sheryl Browne?
Do I want Sheryl Browne?
Her?
No, I'm a married man, sir.
No, on the news.
Do I watch her?
Yeah.
Yes, I do, occasionally.
You ever watch Gail Stearns?
Occasionally, even less occasionally.
I heard she came from Pittsburgh. Did you?
No, I came from Philadelphia. I lived in Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it kind of blows your whole thing, doesn't it? But go ahead with it anyway.
Where'd you live near Philadelphia?
I beg your pardon?
Where did you live in Pittsburgh?
I lived at, I believe the address was 360 Hastings Street. It was right off the corner of Hastings and Reynolds in Squirrel Hill.
Squirrel Hill? Oh, I used to live in Westview.
Okay.
Yeah, were you watching the Today Show a couple days ago?
Nope.
Oh, well, they said that, oh, well, that's all right. Oh, wait a second. I'm being attacked. Help, help, help. Ah,
Gulf Port, you're on the air at WPLP.
How you doing, Bob?
Fine.
One thing I've got to tell Sheryl Browne, I hope she's listening, she has got to go through her makeup drawer, take all that blue eyeshadow, put it in garbage.
The blue eye, I've not even gotten to the blue eyeshadow yet.
It doesn't flatter her at all. I think that's why people have a little bit of trouble looking at Sheryl Browne and taking her seriously. I mean, for a long time, she had her hair done so she looked like a French poodle. And then this blue eyeshadow. And it just, it completely destroyed her credibility.
Well, I've got the worst hair in the world, and I normally do not...
Radio people can't say things like this about you?
Well, yes, I am. But as I was saying, I've got the worst hair in the world, and I rarely complain about other people's hair. I mean, I understand that if the hair won't do anything, it just won't do anything. However, you have touched the point here.
The people you're looking at over your dinner have got to present this sort of, this new Midwestern newscaster face. They have to be conservative.
Well, it's bad enough that they attack you at dinner time, but then you see them again right before you go to bed.
I know. Oh. Gives you nightmares.
Oh, it does. It does. I mean, there's got to be someone in the Tampa Bay area, some hairdresser, who could do something with that poor woman's hair.
I'm sure there is. I think
that's why I've not gotten to the eye makeup yet.
They should all call up her station and bid for the job.
God, maybe we could have a telethon or something to raise money to fly in a good hairdresser if there isn't one in town.
There's only one thing about local news that drives me nuttier than that.
Only one thing?
Yeah. It's Channel 13. It's the Kitty Brigade. Kelly, Terry, Terry, Andy. I mean, who can take this newscast seriously?
Well, I guess your name has to end in a Y, or else you can't get a job there.
That's right. Who can take this crew seriously? It's like a bunch of little kids in preschool.
I guess they work cheap.
Is that what it is?
Must be.
Huh.
I've never seen a major market like this for television news.
Aren't you glad?
Am I glad? No, I'm not glad. I live here.
But this is the only way.
Well, that's no consolation to me. For all I know, I'll end up living here for the rest of my life.
Well,
and I appreciate...
Good point.
I appreciate that the formats are the same all over the country. I appreciate that they're just as tasteless no matter where you go. It's just that there's a better quality of people, so consequently the tastelessness doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah. Well, maybe the other markets don't bother us as much because we don't have to watch them.
And never have I lived in a market. And I read the trade publications. I don't believe this is a new fad sweeping the country, but never have I lived in a market where there's this implied thing between the two anchors. Oh, that's disgusting.
The innuendo?
Yeah. It's disgusting. I mean, we talked to one poor man earlier tonight who didn't see it at all. I don't see how he can miss it. It's very obvious, but I think that they really want us to tune in each night to see if John will blow kisses in her direction.
Do you think he ever will?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Should we take bets on that?
Well, we'll all find out some night. Maybe that will be the culmination of the campaign. John reaches over and touches her hand, squeezes it. And then we'll, cut to a picture of a window with the ocean outside and the breeze blowing in and the curtains fluttering, and then we'll get to Nightline, and that's how they'll end the newscast. I mean, why not? They've done everything else. I think it'd be more entertaining than what they're doing.
I love it.
Waves breaking over the rocks. And
the silhouettes of the windows.
Yes, it would be great. Why not? These people have no shame. Go all the way, so to speak.
Well, somebody could do a real number on Channel 13 with that, with Hugh Smith, with those little incident from a couple of years ago in North Tampa with your
I wouldn't let my daughter sit next to him either. I wouldn't let my daughter sit next to him either.
Really?
Well, I thank you very much.
Well, you're very welcome. And Cheryl, if you're listening, please flash that blue eyeshadow.
All right, I'll try to look for that tonight. I'll try to get past the hair to the eyeshadow.
She's been getting better. She's got her hair, she got rid of the poodle hair, and she wasn't going to wear anything to this stupid powder blue. She's got a little ways to go. I think she needs a new cosmetic person.
I think what they really need is a room divider between her and John. That's what they really need. That would help a lot.
Okay.
Just some barbed wire, something, anything. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
The phone numbers that put you on the air at WPLP are in Hillsborough County, 224-0057. In Pinellas County, 393-0057. And anywhere else, toll free, 1-800-334-0057. WPLP
Furniture Store has Davy Crockett beds. It's a twin-size bed, just right for the kids, with scenes of Davy Crockett in action on the mattress.
21 and a half minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock. I have not been more encouraged since the day I first arrived in Tampa Bay than I am tonight. Finally, at last, we're getting down in the gutter, slinging mud, telling it like it is, letting it all hang out. There is hope. There is considerable hope. A couple of weeks ago, I came in here after, just one too many bad trips to the restaurant. Went on for like 15, 20 minutes about it, drew two calls. One person kind of agreed with me. The other person said, well, they all try and they work hard. They don't earn much money, And it just dropped there. So this gives me hope that some night, perhaps in a week or so, we can devote an entire program to ripping the restaurant industry to shreds. Getting down in the gutter again and slinging the mud. Oh, there is hope. There is hope. St. Petersburg, hi, you're on the air at WPLP.
Yeah, good evening, Bob. How are you this morning?
Fine, thank you.
Hey, let me ask you something. Does the television stations take any kind of poll to see the popularity of these newscasters?
They probably do. They do in most markets. I cannot say definitely whether or not they do here, but it's a common thing.
Well, I think we lost one of probably the best sportscasters in the nation when we lost Ken Brew. What did he go to Cincinnati?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, he was probably one of the finest in the business. That's my opinion. Gail Serrans, he's okay. They're all okay. I think you're doing a pretty good job, but evidently the audience is following you and not thinking so much.
Well, you talked about those polls, or what you call the poll. What they normally do, and it's even done in radio to a degree, although not nearly to the degree, they will bring in a group of people, and they call them a focus group. All right, and then they will show them clips of videotape, or they'll play audio tape for them, whatever it might be, and then ask their opinion. Well, this might be fine and well in some markets where people are a little bit more outspoken, but again, we're talking about Tampa Bay, and there's no doubt in my mind that if indeed these stations did go to the focus group, they bring in the normal person who lives here, and they'd all sit there and say, well, yeah, I guess they're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody gets excited here one way or the other. There's no passion in Tampa Bay.
I wonder why that is.
I don't understand it. There is just no passion here. People don't get excited, pro or con.
They mustn't get too excited. I mean, like the lady that called in before me, what about when Youth Smith was arrested for soliciting prostitution? How come he's still on the air?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I have no idea. I guess they believe his excuse.
Well, he was found guilty, wasn't he?
Well, my God, we had a disc jockey whose program was the most popular program in the morning with kids, who was arrested for drunken driving. That's after they caught him.
And he's still on the air?
Well, he finally left town, but he didn't leave town because of that. He left town apparently because of a better job offer. He's in San Diego now.
That's unbelievable, ain't it?
Well, there was a guy in Miami. You talk about the same thing happened down there, except this was even worse. A guy named Don Cox. He was the top-rated disc jockey with young females. He was arrested for cocaine, selling cocaine. He spent time in jail.
I guess anybody
came back
can
and
get
got
in
his
business.
job. He's still down there.
I guess anybody can get in the business. Is this what you're saying?
Well, no, it's not that anybody can get into business. It's just that in some markets, for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to make any difference who or what you are.
Yeah.
Or what you've done. You know, everybody makes mistakes. I've made mistakes. You've probably made them. I'll no doubt make some more as time goes by.
Yeah.
But within reason, please.
You know, Bob, I bet if they took a poll in the Tampa, St. Pete, Sarasota, Braden, Clearwater area, if they took a poll, who was the most boresome, rude, ignorant person on the airwaves?
Oh, it wouldn't be me, sir. No, because you said boring. Rude, maybe, but not boring, sir.
What do you mean?
Well, you're getting ready to take a shot at me. It wouldn't be boring.
No,
you may consider me rude, you may consider me ignorant, but you can't call me boring, sir.
See, now you're putting words in people's mouths. You think so?
Do I think so? No.
Well, no, that's not what... Why do you think I was going to take a shot at you, Bob?
Because it's the way it sounded.
Maybe you have a complex. I wasn't even going to take a shot at you.
No complexes, sir.
Well, I just don't think it's really fair to single out, like, the one girl on Channel 10.
Why not? She comes into my living room, too.
Yes, but you...
I'm allowed to say what I want, am I not?
Prerogative to turn the channel.
That's true. But I also have the ability, and I also have the right to complain.
Well,
just like everybody else does.
What you're doing is, by you complaining, you're suckering in your listeners on your side. Do you feel that should be so?
I have not shut anybody off, sir.
No, I'm saying you're suckering them into agreeing with you in a sort of...
They're free to disagree with me, sir.
Well, I disagree. I think she does a good job. I mean, I think you're comparing these...
Well, sir, we already know that you don't have any taste because you're trying to call me boring.
Well, that's my opinion. I didn't say. You said I thought you were boring.
Well, sir, you too have the same knob that everybody else does.
That's true. But as I was saying, if everybody took a poll in the counties, in the Tampa Bay area, and took a poll, who is the most obnoxious?
And then what's even worse than that, when I caught you flat-footed and stole the wind out of your sails, you tried to deny that's what you were going to say.
No. You see, you're putting words in my mouth.
There you go again. I caught you twice.
You're clever, Bob. You're very clever.
And very entertaining, sir. Sarasota, you're on the air at WPLP.
Yes, I know you're talking about Sheryl Browne, but I'd like to call your attention to another amateur. And this one happens to be in Sarasota. I don't know if you've ever seen Todd Templin before. He's one of the most unskilled and incompetent news on television today.
I don't think I've caught the Sarasota news more than once or twice in the almost 2 years that I've been here. Unfortunately, I can't really comment one way or the other.
Well, he slouches over his desk and he sweats like a pig. And he botches every sentence up. And he sticks about 10 or 15 R's.
He sweats like a pig?
Huh?
He sweats like a pig?
Oh, you could see it dripping off his brow.
All right.
I mean, he's something to watch. I understand he's a programmer, or he's head of the directing there, and he's also an announcer. And he is horrendous. I mean, I can't believe they let him go on air.
I'll have to try to catch his act. What time is he on?
He's on the 6 o'clock news. He's on Channel 40.
Mm-hmm.
He's just horrendous. I can't believe anybody watches him.
Well, I'll set the old VCR, and this sounds like it's really worthwhile.
Oh, yeah. He sounds pretty comparable to the Sheryl Browne there. A lot similar.
Oh, except Cheryl doesn't sweat.
Yes. Well, he doesn't have a turkey throat. He doesn't have a gobble.
Well, he probably sweated it off.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. St. Petersburg, you're on the air to WPLP. Hi.
I'd like to know if you like Bob Hite.
Do I like Bob Hite? No, I'm a married man, sir.
Do you think he's, okay? You watch him?
No, I don't watch him.
You think he's boring?
Do I think he's boring? I guess that's why I don't watch him, probably.
You think he's pretty entertaining, or?
No, I don't think he's pretty entertaining. I said I don't watch him.
You don't? Okay. Well, wait. Mm-hmm.
I just love when people put their kids on there and talk to them.
Well, mm-hmm. Well, well, I gotta go.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Holiday, you're on the air at WPLP.
Robert.
Yeah.
Jerry. How you doing tonight?
Fine.
I know you're slinging the old mud there at Sheryl Browne, but I don't think she's the one you're talking about tonight, but I think it goes to not only the newspapers, but the radio as well.
Well, of course, I've offered the opportunity. This is character assassination night on media.
Yeah, well, I think, because I've been a musicologist for quite a while. Originally come from Michigan. And starting with the newspapers, we had a small town, which is Flint, Michigan, just north of, about 60 miles north of Detroit. They only had one newspaper in town, and there was a little bias in there, as far as Democrat or Republican, etc. But they did have sources of outside news from the people in town about things that are happening. I mean, music-wise, as well as, anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Where both papers here might as well just hang it up, just like the other guy was talking about.
Oh, nonsense. There was a fascinating review the other day on the John Philip Sousa album that's recently been released. Fascinating.
Yeah, but you can get that off the back of his liner notes or something. But another thing I want to talk about is the music, what's so-called music or entertaining stations here in this market. I mean, to me, the only thing that's holding the Q105 together is that they're putting out millions and millions of dollars to get people to listen to them because they're giving away stuff. To me, I mean, that's, I like to listen to music.
I and a lot of other people are amazed as to why that station holds the ratings it does. I mean, 1 out of 5 people in the morning are listening to that radio station. That is astounding.
But that tells you what other kind of, stations there are around.
Well, there's a rumor, and it's only a rumor to this point, but there's a rumor that they will be syndicating Howard Stern's program in the Tampa Bay area, and that should have a considerable impact on Q105, a real impact. If I was working at Q105 in the morning and I heard that, I'd be trembling in my boots. That's cut your numbers in half time.
Yeah, really.
Overnight.
But I think one of the major things down here is that whether it's the Q105 or any other station that plays the current music, you're here. In an 8 hour, not even an 8 hour day, in a 5 hour period of one disc jockey being on the radio, you hear the same song 5 times.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't surprise me.
You get a little sick of hearing some people might know those songs, but Lady in Red or that Songbird, the musical that's out now.
Well, there's a format, or I shouldn't say a format. It isn't really a format, but there is a thought in the business that when you first come into town with a new radio station, that you play the same 16 songs over and over and over. It takes approximately 1 hour to play 16 songs.
Right.
Fortunately, we haven't gotten quite that bad here yet, but, who knows? Time will tell.
Yeah, and they're in the oldies down here. I mean, up in Michigan for the past at least 5 years. I know a lot of other stations in the New York area and some other areas are playing the oldies. Well, down here, their idea of oldies is something that came out last year or 3 years ago,
Well, there is HBO on the AM dial.
Yeah. But that if you can put up with the Russia for a while.
Well, yes, they do have that problem these days. That's a tragedy.
Yeah. But the whole market down here is just, it's totally unbelievable because I had a small AM station where we worked. We're in Flint, that people could go on there on a talk show at night. I mean, they played music during the daytime, and at night they had a talk show. I mean, they would take people that, people that were in the record business or owned a record shop or people that were in government or et cetera, and put them on the radio show, and, you know, I mean, there was, sometimes it got real boring. I mean, nothing like your show, but still it was something different. I mean, that was the concept of the whole thing.
Well, keep your fingers crossed. Keep your fingers crossed. It may come to that here, too. My friend, I must move along and take a break, but I thank you much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
To join in the conversation, the number to call in Hillsborough County is 224-0057. In Pinellas County, 393-0057. And anywhere else in Florida, 1-800-334-0057. You know attorney Joe Pippin as the man with the answers on his Sunday show, Ask an Attorney, right here on WPLP. Now Joe Pippin has made it possible for you to have the answers to the most frequently asked legal questions about Florida law right at your fingertips in his latest book, Ask an Attorney, a comprehensive guide to understanding the principles and procedures of Florida law. Ask an Attorney can answer most of your questions concerning wills, trusts, probate, personal injury, real estate, and many more. Now, as a special offer, this 164-page legal guide is available at a 50% saving to WPLP listeners. Just send a check or money order for $7, payable to Attorney Joe Pippin, and mail to Florida Law, care of WPLP, Post Office Box 48579, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33743. And please join us for Ask an Attorney, Sunday mornings at 10:30 on WPLP, your news and talk station.
News Talk 57, WPLP.
I travel the country putting on slide presentations to explain what our company is doing locally. I was phoning Best Western to set up such a meeting in L.A. when my boss comes in and says,
Miss Miller, this is Mr. Blum, our new Executive Vice President for Community Relations.
Glad to meet you.
In L.A., when you announce we're closing our factory, Blum here will knock over your water pitcher to divert attention.
Smart, I tell my boss. And I go back to calling 1-800-BEST-BET to set up the meeting. You see, Best Western is the largest lodging chain in America, Canada, the world, with meeting facilities all over North America.
In Wichita, when you announce we're being sued, Blum will knock over your podium to divert attention.
Should work, I tell my boss. And because each Best Western is independently owned and operated, the people know their locales. That's 1-800-BEST-BET for Best Western. Your best bet everywhere.
In Boston, when you announce we're declaring Chapter 11, Blum will...
You're listening to WPLP, News Talk Radio for Tampa Bay.
What an encouraging night there is, hope there is. St. Petersburg, you're on the air at WPLP.
Good evening, Bobby.
Good evening.
I believe in the old axiom, every knock is a boost. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if John and Cheryl are listening to the show tonight.
You think so?
And, I would bet a nickel on it. And...
Hand in hand.
And?
Hand in hand, they're listening.
Yes. And the wind-up of it is the publicity you are producing tonight for Channel 10 News. Well, I won't be a bit surprised for the rest of the month they come up 4 or 5 tenths of a point.
Well, I hope they'll share the wealth with me.
Well, you know what it is. And as far as you know, I've been in the restaurant business for many years.
Geez, wouldn't it be great if they took an hour one night next week and just knocked the hell out of me, too? Oh, I'd love that.
Oh, I got news for you. You'd come up 10 points. Because, after all, I bet you, I would really bet a nickel that they're listening to the show tonight and they are in hysterics. Because this is going to do only one thing for them. People are going to be very curious and watch and see the commercials, etc., and their news broadcast.
Well, gee,
just to see if it's true what you're saying.
I hadn't thought of it that way. I'm really going to rush home tonight to make sure to see if she looks at him with those puppy dog eyes, even extra special much tonight.
Well, I've noticed what you're speaking of, but I looked at it another vein. I looked at it this way here. She is admiring his experience and learning from him, no?
What kind of experience, though?
Well, now, I don't get into that.
No.
It's none of my business. But the thing is that I still say every notch is a boost, and the publicity you are promoting tonight, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if 10 to 15,000 more people on tomorrow night and for 6 and 11 o'clock will be watching their show.
Well, I would have no objection to that at all, and I would just hope they don't even have to share the wealth with me. I would just hope that as a token of their gratitude, they will pull that inane series of commercials that they're running, and then we'll be fair and square.
And you'd be happy.
Then I'd be very happy.
Have you ever heard of a news director, anchorman in the same city, work at all 3 different stations at different times?
In smaller markets, sure.
This is not exactly a small market, but they got around to this fellow and told him that he's going to have to put a lady on with him, a girl on with him for the show, and he was dead against it because his ratings is #1, period. And they insisted. Then he put a clause or signed an agreement with him that he's got to pick the girl. He picked her. And you want to know something? His ratings went up even higher. But he's over 6 foot. The girl he picked has 3 telephone books under her seat. You hear?
Oh, it's better than in her blouse.
She's got a moon face and glasses that look like shot glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But she has a hell of a delivery.
She must.
She is very enunciating is the word. And when she's speaking news. And she doesn't look at this other fellow.
Mm-hmm.
And the wind-up of it is the ratings went up. They're #1 for the last 2 years, 3 years. In fact, from what I hear, his contract has been extended to 1990 with extensive raises each year.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. And he got the ugliest thing possible, thinking he can get rid of her. It helped, so he says let her stay. Besides, his wife doesn't mind.
Well, where is this, by the way?
Well, if you recognize my voice, I make 7, 8 trips out there a year.
Now,
if you don't
where?
recognize my voice, I'll have to say goodnight.
Okay. I mean, leave us all in suspense. That's terrible. I'd move to a town like that to watch somebody with, Coke bottle glasses doing the news, sitting on telephone books. Clearwater, you're on the air at WPLP.
Hey, Bob.
Hi.
This promotional dude, it's very unprofessional. It's lousy. Have you heard the latest with you talking about and the other girl talking about each other?
No, I haven't. People have been telling me about it tonight, but I so far have missed it.
Oh, it's great. I mean, you's talking about, she's going, you's presenting her to the neighborhood and all this and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you says, well, I was on vacation and I came back and she wasn't there and I missed her. And if I could hear violins in the background, dude, I was going to accustom to your face. I'm going, give me a break, you.
Oh, I didn't know they paid that much money in this market that people would read that kind of stuff into a microphone and have it recorded.
Hey, how about your buddy Hack doing car commercials? The man whose build is the man seeking truth and justice the American way?
I've heard about those, but I've not seen them.
Oh, it's
it's better than being on milk cartons,
Hey,
this is a step up.
They're talking about the sportscasters.
Yeah.
This is kind of a comment on the sportscasters, but the best one I've seen was there was a station out of Dothan, Alabama, that did a sportscast, like a wrap-up.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did was late at night, or early in the morning, rather, they had a German Shepherd, and they rigged him up with one of those old slouching fedora hats that said sports, like a press card.
Yeah.
And they had the dog move his mouth, and they had another guy talking off camera, into a mic, sort of like a Marty Glickman delivery, doing the ball scores.
Love it. Just love it.
Good night, Bob.
Good night. There was a great guy in Utica. Lyle Bosley was his name. I will never forget him as long as I live. It was, again, a relatively small market. It's one of those stations where you do everything. You know, you sell, you clean up, you do the newscast, the whole bit. And Lyle was sitting there one night, and the set fell over on him. It was just great. I love small market television, except in large markets. Tampa, you're on air at WPLP.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
I don't have an access to a radio this evening, and anyway, I got two questions.
Two questions?
Yes, sir. One of which involves Sheryl Browne. I was wondering if, very briefly, if you could, I was wondering the reason for the controversy about the lady. She's on Channel 10, I guess, huh?
Right. My God, are they firing machine guns there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm talking from, it's not a phone, it's like a Dixie cup with a long string. But,
oh, I see. You're making a local call.
Yeah. It's one of these rinky-dink phones.
Mm-hmm.
But this Sheryl Browne, she's controversial, huh?
Well, I think she is.
Oh, jeez.
Of course, I'm making her a star tonight.
Yeah? Oh. I got a second question.
Yeah?
It doesn't involve Sheryl Browne, though.
Uh-huh.
I read a lot of the material from the Institute of Historical Review.
Yeah?
They're the people who they publish, as you know.
They're revisionists, Holocaust revisionists.
Yeah, they say that the Holocaust is a lot of baloney.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they haven't convinced me. I read some of their best books, and actually they're so darn complex that they haven't convinced me, but they have, the questions have arisen in my head concerning some of the issues that they bring up. Anyway, the way I got in touch with that group was I was in Philadelphia, and there was a talk show I was listening to, and the talk show host was talking to a guy who represents the IHR.
Mm-hmm.
And subsequently I found out through their newsletter that he devotes, I believe, full time to talking to talk show hosts.
That's right.
So anywho, I was wondering if I was to write them and ask him if he'd be available, and in the event that you'd be available, there would be a splendiferous show. I mean, can you imagine something that wouldn't that be interesting?
No, it wouldn't. Not for me. I would not have those people on the program.
You've had all sorts of crackpots on your program.
That's true. I love crockpots or crackpots, as the case may be, on my program. But there's a little bit of a difference with the Institute for Historical Review. The difference is it is almost impossible to sit there and refute the numbers that this man is making up, the situations that he's making up and just tossing out left and right. He is disseminating this information, and unless you have an expert sitting there right next to him who can correct him as he's going along, all he is doing is spreading filth and hatred and lies.
Well, my impression, now I'm not saying they're correct, right? I'm not saying they're right or wrong. But my impression is that it's as impeccably researched as anything that the New York Times would endorse. It's just that it's underground, and it's. I guess the reason it seems so outrageous is because of the novelty.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay. I just thought I'd throw that in there, and I'm going to find out who the Sheryl Browne is tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Largo, you're on air at WPLP.
Hiya, Bob.
Hi.
We're putting you on notice. Either you apologize and retract what you say about Messrs. Browne et al., or you and your station are put on notice, and we will confiscate the tapes and use them against you.
Confiscate what tapes and use them against me, sir?
The tapes of your show.
Gee, the logger's not working tonight. I hope you have, son.
Well, listen, tomorrow you'll receive our letter and summons.
Go ahead, sir. I'm allowed to have an opinion.
Bobby, either you apologize or retract,
Apologize in opinion, sir. Apologize that she makes me sick to my stomach. No, sir, I won't apologize that.
Keep going. Defamation of character.
No, it's not defamation of character.
Violation of the FCC regulations.
Are you aware of the penalty, sir, for representing yourself as an attorney?
No one is representing. You're going to get the summons.
Well, what is your name then, sir? What is your name?
Bye, Bob. We'll see you in court.
Oh, sure you will. What kind of a fool do you take me for, huh? What kind of a fool do you take me for? Give me a break. Thought I was born yesterday, bozo? Bel Air Beach, you're on there at WPLP.
Yeah, good evening, Bob.
Hi.
I think that's an awful cheap shot you're taking at Sheryl Browne.
Oh, it's an awful cheap shot? How's that, sir?
Well, I just think it's cheap. Yeah, and I think you should go.
I think you're gone for using language like that. Bye-bye. Tampa, you're on there at WPLP.
Good evening, Bob.
Good evening.
I don't watch Sheryl Browne. Every morning I get a chance to watch early morning news, and that's even a bigger joke. There's a program on, I think it's Ernie Lee.
Oh, yeah.
He's the old geezer who plays guitar.
Probably the best show done in this market. I like Ernie.
However, he's got a girl who does news with him, and I'm not even sure what her name is, but half the time she's half asleep. She's mumbling, and she's incoherent.
Well, I mean, come on. Look what time the poor child has to get up.
And she's got to listen to all that music, too.
Unfortunately, I've not seen Ernie for a long, long time. When I first flew into this town, I don't know what I was doing up at that ungodly hour, but I turned on the television, and I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. But as good as it was, and it is good camp television, I've just not bothered to get up that early to watch it again.
Well, tape it sometime. You've got to take a look at this woman. I'm telling you, she's half asleep. She ought to be in bed.
She's on there every night.
Yeah.
Or every morning.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll tape it.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye. St. Pete, you're on there at WPLP.
Bobby, I think you're lovely. And I must say, I called earlier, and I was talking about saccharin and bigotry. I have to call again because it seems to me, though, you might have an obsession with Sheryl Browne.
Well, I don't have an obsession with Sheryl Browne, but you're breaking the rules. I don't want to be rude, but only one call a night. Tampa, you're on there at WPLP.
Hello, Mr. Lassiter?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this is the first time I heard your show, and I want to say that you are a good host. But I also want to say I am the radio and media and TV, and the three people, the two guys and a woman that called in about Cheryl and three of the stations, when they knock the women or the guys, they really don't realize what's going on behind the scenes. Excuse me, the news people that work. And Cheryl, I remember when she worked for the kids show, she worked 24 hours. And they're all great people. And it's hard to be a newscaster, and not everybody likes them, just like you when these people assaulted you. Well, you're a great host, and I guess it kind of hurts when somebody calls in. But
doesn't bother me at all.
But, you know, Cheryl is really a nice person.
I'm sure she is.
And when they're looking at each other, if they don't smile, then people will think they're mad.
Well, there's a difference between smiling and pining. Big difference.
And, you know, like Channel 13, like they were just mentioned, Ernie Lee. Well, Ernie Lee came from Cincinnati many years ago from Channel 5, WLW, and he was top there, although he was young. And I remember him, but I won't tell you my age. But I want to say these, all Channel 13, Channel 10, and Channel 8, all of them are doing a great job. All of them have awards. Like I'm sure that you will get awards for being a host in a talk show, which maybe someday you will get up in NBC or, you know, the higher.
Well, I'm not worried about awards, but I just, you know, I'm entitled to my opinion, and that's what I've done. I thank you much. Tampa, you're on the air at WPLP.
Yes, this is Attorney Robert Jensen calling from Tampa, representing WPSP.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lassiter, you will receive a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
We will subpoena the tapes for this evening.
Uh-huh.
You are?
Yeah, there you go again, lying one more time. I do hope you subpoena those tapes because what you said while it didn't go out on the air is on those tapes, and what you said is, sir, actionable. St. Pete, you're on air at WPLP.
Yeah, I'm sure she makes more money than you do.
I'm sure she does.
Yeah, eat your heart out.
I'm not eating my heart out.
Job.
Oh, give me a break.
Ellery's job tonight.
No, I couldn't get Ellery's job. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm going after him tomorrow. Oh, I am eating my heart out, dearie. I just love it. Just love it. Here they come. Sarasota, you're on air at WPLP.
Hello, Bob. I just had a few comments.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm amazed by all the callers who think that you're attacking Sheryl Browne personally and not the promotional tactics of Channel 10.
You got it.
Right, and I'm very disgusted by the commercials because the station seems to think that the viewers decide on what show to watch based on the personality of the news team and not on the content of the show. I feel that the commercial with Sheryl Browne talking about John Wilson sets the woman's movement back about 20 years because it perpetuates the stereotype of the woman looking to the man in awe and amazement. And I think it also might be a subtle message to the male chauvinists of the viewers that Cheryl is not a threat to John, but there to enhance him in his image.
I couldn't think of a better note to end the program on. I thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And I'd also just like to say that I really could care less that what gives Kelly Craig a kick.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
As for the rest of you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Soupy Sales will be my guest. Behave yourselves.